I'm back in my home country to explore one of Italy's best-kept secrets. This, it's stunning Adriatic coast. I'm embarking on an epic 700-mile journey of this lesser-known east coast of Italy. Wow! Now this is a view. From magical Venice in the north, through majestic mountain ranges and historic hilltop towns.
I'm wondering when I'm gonna have a tea break.
Spectacular coastal roads revealing crystal clear waters. Tranquil and unspoiled, there is so much to explore. Inspired by my travels, I'll be cooking delicious dishes.
Look at that.
To share with some of the people I meet along the way.
Spettacolare. It's very delicious. No.
Before finally reaching the Hill of the Boot and the very end of the Roman Empire.
It's just awesome. Awesome.
My adventure along Italy's east coast starts here, in Venice. The jewel in the Adriatic's crown. And the only way to arrive is by boat. A real James Bond moment as you cross the lagoon, the city rises before you. I've seen many cities in my life, but you're gonna have to admit, Venezia has to be the most beautiful city ever. Look at that. From here, I'll be driving the entire length of the Adriatic right to the Hill of Italy's Boot. Venice itself actually floats off the coasts. It's an archipelago city made up of 118 interconnecting islands. Every corner you turn here is like being on a film set. But if you really want to enjoy this medieval city, the best way to do it is to go on water in one of the 400 gondolas, which is the very symbol of Venice. Gondoliers have been taking people around the city for more than 1,000 years on its network of 177 canals. Riccardo?
Gino, buongiorno.
Tutto bene? Buongiorno. Oh, what a beautiful gondola you have. I'll sit here because this looks very comfortable.
The royal sofa.
Ah, look at that. Riccardo is fifth-generation gondolier and one of the youngest in the city. My tour of Venice begins on the Grand Canal. It carves a S-shaped path through the heart of the city, and all the other waterways lead from it. Why I always see all the gondoliers with a stripy shirt? Why is that?
Because Venice has been conquered by the French Empire when Napoleon was alive. This is really similar to the Breton striped shirt, the French one.
Okay. Where are we now?
Now we are in the center of the city. Rialto Bridge has been the only bridge across the Grand Canal for centuries.
From Rialto, the Grand Canal meanders down to the San Marco district. It's getting busy with tourists. Has any tourist ever fallen in as you were driving?
More than you can imagine.
No, really?
When they were trying to get out.
Idiots. Just like London cab drivers, gondoliers take a series of tests to show that they can navigate the complex network of canals and manage the dramatic tides. When you look at you guys doing it, it looks very easy.
It's like driving a car.
I want to try later.
Are you sure?
Yeah?
You have a life jacket?
What, do you think I'm going to go in the water?
You will fall in the water.
No way.
The first day, I've fallen like 20 times.
No, I'm not doing it then. We pass under the infamous Bridge of Sighs. It's said that as prisoners were led over it to jail, they sighed on their final sight of stunning Venice.
As lunchtime approaches, we leave the busy tourist area for the University district of Dorsoduro. This is the locals' Venice.
That one there?
That one.
I love places like this. You know, when I see places like this, I know I'm gonna get good food.
Riccardo's taking me to sample the traditional lunchtime meal of gondoliers, cicchetti, which means small plates. They are Venice's answer to tapas.
Look at that, the selection is incredible. Some weird one, I have to say. This is eggs, truffle, and mushroom. Look at that. See, what people don't understand about cicchetti is that it's a very simple concept. It's a nibble, nothing more than that. As you can see, you got the bread, and you can put whatever you want on top. That is the traditional cicchetti.
Va? Facciamo
Due per ciascuno.
due per ciascuno, due di baccalà e due di gamberetti.
Perfetto.
Che questo è una tartare di tonno con cacao amaro.
I've just asked this beautiful lady which one is a traditional one to have. She said bacala, which is dried fish. Try the one with the little shrimps, and one with tuna and cocoa powder. I mean, tuna and cocoa powder. Now, this is interesting. You like tuna?
I love tuna.
This is like a savory cappuccino.
More or less, yes.
That's all right.
Salty cappuccino.
Sì. Questo?
It's more like a savory tiramisu.
Has a good contrast.
Yum.
As well as plenty of cicchetti bars, this district is also home to the city's oldest boatyard, where gondola are serviced as they have been for over 500 years. With Riccardo now off shift, I'm going to see if I can impress him and his father with my version of cicchetti. One prawn with lemon and chili mayonnaise, one with Nduja, honey and Parma ham, and a simple tomato basil bruschetta.
So where do we start is right here with the bread. You can use pretty much whatever bread you want.
For my take on this simple lunch classic, start by slicing the bread, rubbing both sides with olive oil, and placing on a hot griddle pan to toast.
Now let me show you how to make the tomato topping. Quite easy.
Any tomatoes will work for the bruschetta.
Big chunks as well. Whenever you chop tomato, don't chop them too finely, because otherwise all the pulp and the juice is going to be out. Now, in the tomato, I'm going to put some basil. No need to chop it, because when it's fresh and beautiful like this, if you start to chop, it becomes black. I'm just going to put a little bit of salt, extra virgin olive oil. That's it. Just make sure you mix everything together. I'm going to show you now how Italian people make the original garlic bread. When my mother used to do it, she used to get warm toasted bread, then a clove of garlic, which are just peeled, right? And the only thing that you have to do, just gently rub the garlic, and the job is done. Perfect.
Next, for the prawn cicchetti, add olive oil, a touch of salt, and a squeeze of lemon to raw prawns.
Okay, so now the prawns are marinating. Let me show you what I do with the mayonnaise. And how you're gonna jazz it up is very simple. In there, I'm gonna squeeze a little bit of lemon juice. Make sure the pips, they don't go in there. And then I'm gonna give a nice kick with chili powder. I'm not gonna tell you how much to pour. Start with 1 teaspoon, 1.5 teaspoon, and then is however hot you like it. Now, let's cook the prawns. Hot griddle pan again. This will take no more than 3 minutes on each side. Yeah, don't overcook them, otherwise they become all rubbery. I'll guarantee you Riccardo will love my cicchetti. Now, the other one I'm going to prepare is cicchetti with Nduja and Parma ham. Let me talk to you about Nduja. This is Nduja. It's nothing more than lots of different dried chili with pork. Quite spicy, so be careful not to overdo it. Look, and the good thing is that this is spreadable as well. And just put it on top of 2 of them. Other things you can use Nduja, for example, if you're making a fantastic risotto, couple of teaspoons of Nduja, fantastico.
Most UK supermarkets stock Nduja, or a soft chorizo will do the job. Add Parma ham to the Nduja, spread chili mayo ready for the prawns, and build your tomato bruschetta. Drizzle the ham with runny honey.
So you can imagine now, you get the spicy induja with the sweet honey, the Parma ham, yum. A little bit of pistachio nuts just on top, and the prawns, oh yes. Now straight on top of our beautiful cicchetti. Look at that, come on. Huh? What do you think about that? My Venetian cicchetti. Riccardo is gonna love this. I hope you're hungry, you two.
Oh, is this for us?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. What do you think? This is my cicchetti. Good?
Very strong.
Yeah, it's a nice, strong flavor.
With the wine.
I know, we need this. Alessa, vieni qua, vieni.
And Alessa from the Cicchetti restaurant is on hand with some Prosecco.
Gino, long life.
To you, and long life to you too, guys.
Thank you.
I'm on a grand tour of the Adriatic coast, starting here in Venice. As the city wakes, the gondoliers prepare for their day and the Grand Canal bursts into life. And it's the perfect time for me to visit a special place in the very heart of the ancient city.
Food shopping in Italy is a daily activity. I'm here in the Rialto market, and these people have been selling fresh produce to the Venetians for over 7 centuries.
Its central location means Rialto has always been the commercial hub of the city and still has the very best of Italian seasonal food on offer.
Now, let me give you a tip if you want to come to the Rialto market. You're gonna have to get up early. As soon after dawn, get yourself here because this place very soon is going to be mobbed.
You really can find anything here, but it's the seafood, fresh from this morning's Adriatic catch, that I'm after.
Oh, look at that. Fresh crab. How beautiful are they? Now, I know exactly how to deal with these bad boys. You're at home, let me give you a tip. Get friendly with the fishmonger and get him to do all the hard work. Ah, grazie. I got a lovely recipe that I'm gonna show you with fresh crab. Grazie.
Being out this early is also the best time for me to enjoy Venice's labyrinth of narrow streets on foot and to see the iconic San Marco Square before it's flooded with 60,000 daily visitors. Framed by the Basilica San Marco, the Doge's Palace and the Bridge of Sighs, the Gothic architecture of this vast square has been inspiring the imagination of artists for centuries.
Sybil, make sure the hair are nice and the chest. Make a nice chest there. Oh, that's spot on. Look at that. Very nice.
I'm taking a short trip away from the crowds to an island which is home to a different kind of artist. Tiny Burano lies 7 miles northeast of Venice. An ancient fishing village is world famous for its lace. Almost 3,000 permanent residents live and work on this bustling island. It's considered one of the most colorful places on Earth. And the first thing that strikes me as I approach are the dazzling colors of his fishermen's cottages.
Lorenzo!
Ciao Gino! Buongiorno, welcome to Burano!
Local interior designer Lorenzo has lived here all his life. His family came here in the 1800s.
There is one thing I don't understand. What's with all these colors in the houses? Why so many colors?
Look, in the past we have a lot of fog, you know? So the fishermen paint strong colors to recognize their home.
Otherwise, they wouldn't know where to go.
Maybe.
Is it a legend or is it actually true?
No, that's true.
What about the wives? Would they paint their wives as well? Oh, what about if you don't recognize the wife in the mist?
Well, that's a good idea. Let me think about that.
I got a plan.
In the summer, I get it. The tourists, a lot of people around. But what do you do here in the winter?
We paint.
Okay, one.
We fish.
Okay,
Other kind
two.
of fish. We do lace.
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 Okay.
For 12 centuries, the lace was made here. It's the finest in the world.
You need to show me.
Lorenzo's family have had their lace workshop here for 200 years.
Beautiful.
This intricate skill has been passed down for 5 generations. Their handiwork is so detailed that it can fetch thousands of euros and is sought after by Europe's royalty and Hollywood stars.
Quindi questo è il negozio. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Come va? Tutto bene?
Come va?
Bene, bene, piacere.
Piacere, Carmen.
Carmen. Carmen. You're always surrounded by beautiful women. How do you do that? So, Carmen e Mirella. Mirella, perfetto. Quanti anni ci vogliono per imparare?
Io ero da bambina, avevo 8 anni che lavoravo con la mamma, la nonna.
So this lady starting to do lacing when she was only 8 years old. And I'm not going to ask how old she is now, but I'm sure she must be over 40, right? So that's a hell of a lot of years. What's the most complicated piece of art you made?
We made 8 meters of tablecloths in 2 years and a half.
You know, I'm going to tell you a secret that not many people know. When I used to be a little boy, I used to make, you remember Ken, the doll?
Yeah.
Barbie's husband.
Yeah, Ken, yes.
Yeah, Ken, yeah. I used to make his clothes.
No.
Yeah, but don't I don't want too many people to
No,
know
no.
stuff like
It's
that.
very
So I
important.
wanted to play very, very cool here.
Why don't you try?
Yeah, but what about if I'm gonna mess the butterfly up?
We do. No problem.
Sì?
Yeah, she can do it.
You tell her.
Yes.
I don't want...
Mirella, scusa.
Prego.
Facciamo provare, eh?
Sì,
Prego.
eccola.
Ok. Vado?
Please.
Here,
Yeah. Good.
under the metal.
Yes. Perfect.
See, that's good. Not bad, eh?
No bad. Good.
Sing, canta.
Mirella, 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 sei fatta per fare l'amore. Al cinema ti porto con me. Mirella, Mirella, Mirella. Ecco, questa è la canzone.
Bella.
Per fare l'amore.
I'm leaving the lace making to the experts and returning to Venice and something I'm more comfortable with.
Now, if somebody asked me, what would it be your dream place to cook? Well, the answer is very simple. Right here, right now. I mean, look at the view behind me. You can't get any more Venice than this.
This region is the home of Prosecco, so I'll be using it along with the crab I bought at Rialto this morning to create a mouth-watering linguine dish.
You cannot come to Venice without opening a bottle of Prosecco. And this is a bottle from Terre di San Venanzio, and it's a Cartise Brut. A Brut is the driest you can get as far as Prosecco is concerned. There you go. Let me taste. Beautiful. Citrusy. This is gonna go really well with the sweetness of the crab and the lemon. Okay, now, for the sauce, garlic. I don't know if you can hear, I got gondolier in the back singing Volare. Cantare. Oh, 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 oh.
Pour the sliced garlic into a cold pan, add olive oil and finally chopped chili. Only then, pour on the heat.
As soon as you can see the garlic and the chili sizzling, time to pour the rest of the ingredients. Now, the other ingredients I'm going to use, cherry tomato. I just cut them into quarters. And then I got pitted green olives.
Roughly chop the olives and a large bunch of flat leaf parsley.
Now, look at that. Garlic sizzling, the chili is sizzling.
Add the cherry tomatoes, olives and parsley to the pan.
And come on, look at the colors. Once you've done that, I'm gonna pour my crab meats. Just make sure you flick it on top, like this. Little touch of salt,
No need for pepper because we got the chili already in there. Oh, come on, guys, look at that.
Grate in the zest of a lemon.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna switch off the heat because the last thing you want to do is to overcook the crab, overcook the tomatoes, overcook the olives, keep it fresh. At this point is the time to cook pasta. And what I'm using is this linguine. That goes in there.
Use plenty of water when cooking pasta and at least a tablespoon of salt.
Obviously, for this recipe, if you don't want to use crab, you just want to keep it with olives, cherry tomato, garlic, is absolutely fine.
When the pasta is almost cooked, pour the crab sauce back onto the heat.
Now, the last thing you have to do to the sauce is to add a touch of Prosecco. Yes, you can use white wine, but what's the point of being in Venice and not using Prosecco? Come on. Check the pasta. Now, let me tell you a secret how to cook the perfect al dente pasta. Whatever it says timing on the packet of pasta, just take 1 minute away. And that's how you get the perfect al dente pasta. Now, to make sure that your pasta tastes always amazing, add the pasta into the sauce. Just pick it up and straight in the frying pan. You want to make sure that each strand of pasta is coated by the flavor of the sauce. Come on, look at that. Just plate it up. And make sure you get all the olives. Oh. Now, the last thing I would do just before you serve it is a little touch of lemon zest on top.
Because in Italy, we never use Parmesan cheese with seafood pasta.
And that's the way you make linguine with crab, green olives, cherry tomato, and Prosecco. See, this is just the perfect way to end my day in Venezia. Salute!
My journey along the Adriatic began on the waterways of Venice. And now I'm hitting the road and heading south to Emilia-Romagna region. There are sections of coastal road like this all the way along the Adriatic, which hug the cliff edges. Over the next 200 miles, I'll be taken in to unmissable UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
For the next stage of my Adriatic adventure, I'm heading inland to the beautiful town of Ravenna.
Ravenna lies 6 miles inland from the coast and is a 2.5-hour drive from Venice. Its charming medieval center is just a square mile in size, a pedestrianized network of cobbled streets around a central piazza.
There is only one way to go around Ravenna, on a bike.
Once the capital of the Western Roman Empire, the city attracted highly skilled artists. And almost 2,000 years later, it's still a paradise for history and art lovers.
But the main reason why people come to Ravenna is because this is the city of mosaic.
Ravenna has one of the world's biggest collections of early Christian mosaics, and 8 of its buildings have protected UNESCO status, 7 of which are in the heart of the city. Romina Castiglione is a local mosaic artist.
Once a basilica?
Di San Vitale.
San Vitale.
Vitale, esatto.
Okay. So this is the Basilica of San Vitale.
Esatto,
and
è
it's
bellissima.
amazing.
Sì. Cristo proprio importantissimo al centro dell'abside e poi c'è il re Giustiniano.
So the last emperor, Re Giustiniano, he was the one who commissioned this beautiful artwork. Jesus always in the middle, as you would expect. How old?
15 secoli. A
In 15 secoli,
fa.
1500 anni.
Esatto, esatto.
This is 1,500 years old, and it still looks like it's new.
San Vitale is a Byzantine masterpiece, and the church's octagonal shape makes it unique. In the grounds of the church is the mausoleum of the Galla Placidia. This small cross-shaped building is home to a mosaic with Eastern influences.
Wow.
Eccoci qua.
I am speechless. I've never seen something so beautiful, all sparkling. You feel like you're actually under the stars. E tutti questi mosaici.
Sì, sì, sì.
And all made with this little mosaic. Quindi quanto tempo ci vuole a fare un servizio del genere?
Beh, storicamente ci sono voluti 30 anni circa.
Oh, 30 years to do the mosaic around here. 30 years. I'm wondering where do they get the ideas from? E l'idea da dove viene?
Dare un significato al discorso della morte.
See, all the idea is to give people hope of what they would find after death. That's where the symbols are. So you will see that there are a lot of doves, there are a lot of ships there. I think this is where we lost a lot of art, you know, worldwide, because we have too many distractions nowadays, and nobody wants to do these meticulous and beautiful little things anymore. Shame.
Thankfully, Romina is part of a thriving community keeping the art of mosaic alive. Just around the corner from San Vitale is the studio where she works.
Bello.
These artists restore ancient mosaics and design and create new pieces of work.
So this is where all the masterpiece happens. As you can see, there are people everywhere putting this little mosaic. This one is nearly there. I'm guessing, questo è chi fa la foto poi lo replica, no?
Esatto.
And so every church will send the picture of what they want and they replicate it.
This piece has been commissioned by a church in Lebanon.
Sicuro?
Certo, una prova.
Vado?
Certo.
Ok, va.
Proviamo a mettere
fammi
un po' di
vedere.
mappa.
I have to try to put at least one little piece of mosaic. Very relaxing.
Sì.
Now, somewhere in the world, they're gonna have a piece of mosaic with my little pieces in it. Eh? How about that?
This work of art is worth more than 40,000 euros, which is probably why they only let me do one little square. It's nearly lunchtime, and there is one food that this town is known for: a sandwich, but not any old sandwich. Piadina was the food of peasants in the Middle Ages, and this daily staple is still loved by the locals, who fill it with everything from ham and cheese to chocolate spread.
This is one of Ravenna's oldest restaurants and is famous for making the best piadina in the city. Buongiorno Rita, come stai?
Good morning.
The owner is Rita Mazzillo.
What a place you go here.
This is museum.
It's
for it,
fantastic.
yes.
Oh, it looks like a church. They're telling me that you make the best piadina in the city.
45 years
All right.
is the old recipe.
So the same recipe for
Same
45 years.
recipe, yes.
I want to see how they make it. One thing that you get straight away is the smell of the piadina. Proprio
It's
bello.
wonderful.
The piadina is made with coarse plain flour, an Italian version of lard, bicarbonate of soda, salt, and water. Patrizia has been making piadina to her family recipe since she was a little girl.
This is the ultimate peasant food. And what Patrizia was explaining to me, that the most important ingredients in making piadina is actually take your time. Because you need to knead the dough properly.
Io sono 35 anni.
35 anni. È tutto fatto a mano?
Sì.
Patrizia is 35 years that he's been doing piadina, all by hand, every single morning. Oh, the moment of truth. Woman.
Good.
See, one thing that you get straight away is the slightly saltiness of the bread. It's
fantastic, fantastic thing to try. Now I'm going my piadina. I'm gonna make my version of the piadina.
Let's see if I can impress Rita.
I'm gonna show you now how to make two versions of the piadina. One with vegetables, and I'm gonna make a pesto-flavored mayonnaise, and the other one with ham and cheese. Now, how do we make a rough pesto?
Choose the largest basil leaves, remove the stalks, and then chop. Roughly chop 2 cloves of garlic and add in the pine nuts.
I'm gonna put a little bit of the chopped basil leaves on top, because that will help me to blend everything together beautifully.
Add some salt and then the extra virgin olive oil.
If you have a good bottle of extra virgin olive oil in the cupboard and you don't know what to do, now is the time to use it, because you really want the flavor and the color of those fresh olives going there. So, come on, look at the color, huh? Fantastico.
Finally, add pecorino or Parmesan cheese and mix together. Pesto can be drizzled on grilled chicken, stirred through pasta, or added to salad dressing. I'm combining it with a good quality mayonnaise.
Now you can see, look, all of a sudden your boring mayonnaise is looking sexy and it's gonna be super tasty. Come on, look at that. Pesto flavored mayonnaise is ready on the side. So what we do, the vegetable I'm using, you can pretty much use any vegetable you want. So if you got some leftover from your Sunday roast, keep them, season them with a little bit of salt, and use them for the piadina.
I'm using lightly grilled asparagus, aubergine, and courgettes.
Now, the way to do it is to warm it up for about 30 seconds on each side. Cut the piadina in half. On the bottom, I'm gonna put some of the pesto mayonnaise, like this. Then I'm gonna put some of the vegetables.
Sprinkle on some dried oregano. It's as easy as making a sandwich.
And my vegetable piadina is done. Just simple as that.
And now, a traditional ham and cheese one.
I'm going to add scamorza. Now, scamorza is like a smoked cheese, okay? Smoked soft cheese. If you see the texture, and this is gonna be absolutely amazing with the ham.
Slice the cheese and add rockets.
It's gonna work really well with the rocket leaves because the rockets are peppery and the cheese is quite sweet.
And add your favorite ham.
Haha. The ultimate comfort food. That's it. Right in the middle of Ravenna, roasted vegetable piadina and cheese and ham piadina.
But will my version meet with Rita's approval?
There you go. I don't have to feed you, do I?
Yeah.
There you go. So you got the pesto mayonnaise in there?
Wonderful.
Huh? Thank you for allowing me to use your piadina. Eh? Thank you.
You want to come in my restaurant?
To do what?
To
drink?
Yeah.
That's an offer I can't refuse. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go. Be gentle with me, eh? Please. Be gentle.
Leaving Ravenna behind, I'm heading further south and crossing into the Marche region.
There is one special place I just had to see. A tiny city with a big history that clings to the top of a mountain, San Marino.
An hour and a half's drive from Ravenna, it lies 12 miles from the coast. San Marino is the world's oldest country. Landlocked by Italy, its imposing fortress is a World Heritage Site, and it sits 2,500 feet above sea level. Founded in the 4th century, it's the 5th smallest nation in the world, just 24 square miles. It has its own government, flag, and head of state. Antonella Mularoni was head of state known as Captain Regent in 2013.
So this is the kingdom of San Marino, and you are the queen.
No, I'm not the queen.
Yeah, but don't be too modest. Don't be too modest. If you're the queen, you're the queen.
No, it's true. It is the equivalent of the queen, with the difference that they are two. They change every 6 months, and they are selected among members of parliament.
Oh, so anyone can be the queen or the king?
Usually they are members of parliament.
That's it. I'm going to move to San Marino. I want to be the king of San Marino.
Yeah.
What do you think is so special about San Marino?
San Marino is the most ancient republic in the world. It has always been independent. People are very proud of their history, of their tradition, of their institution.
Is it easy to become a resident here?
It's not easy. You must either have a wife or a husband in San Marino, or to come in San Marino and invest and stay here to provide work for people.
My mom and dad always spoke to me about San Marino. They came here when they were young. I never had the chance to come here with them. But I remember I've always promised them that one day I would be here, so thank you.
So you kept
your
promise?
I kept my promise. And I have to say they were right. This is just beautiful.
And there is one thing my mom told me to do if I came here. So Antonella leads me from the main square to the post office.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Tutto bene? Volevo tutto bene, grazie. Volevo stampare... non lo so dove si stampa. See, I know that is something probably silly for many of you, but to me, it's actually quite cool. This is my first stamp in my new passport, and I got a San Marino stamp, which not many people has.
Being one of the world's smallest countries, San Marino has always been vulnerable to attack. For more than 1,500 years, it was the crossbowmen who protected its independence. And today, a group of 70 locals continue the tradition.
Okay, questo per lei, questo per lei. 1, 2, 3, bang! Look at that! They actually got it! Incredible. See, this is super cool. I want to try now. Ma posso provare io?
No.
No?
No.
He said no way that he's gonna allow me to shoot it, just in case I kill someone.
Stefano Ugolini is the head of the Crossbowmen Federation.
Alto medioevo nell'Ottocento, tradizione del Palio del 3 settembre.
So they were explaining to me that the crossbow tradition goes back to the 1400s, when they used to be vigilant around the market, make sure that nobody would steal anything. And they just want to keep the tradition going because they want the young generation to understand what it's all about. Io sono pronto.
Te sei pronto? Io non rischio, però.
No?
No.
See? I said, if I put an apple on my head and I'm gonna stand over there, would you shoot the bow arrow? He said, no way. What about a watermelon? E se mi metto un melone?
Sì, magari proviamo.
Proviamo?
No, sì.
Ah, with the watermelon is okay. Can we get a watermelon?
As well as striving to preserve its independence, San Marino also produces foods with protected status. I'm going to use the local honey to create a pudding fit for a capital region.
I am on top of San Marino, 700 meters above sea level, and I have to admit, it's a little bit nippy, but well worth it. Look at the view behind me. I do cook in the best places ever in Italy. Now, you guys have bread and butter pudding. I'm gonna do a recipe which is very similar, but using very local ingredients. I am sure that everybody gets one of these every Christmas, and probably only 10% of you will actually slice it and have it with a cup of tea. Everybody else will like, what am I gonna do with it?
First, cut the panettone into about 1.5 inch slices. And then cut again into triangles.
I love to use panettone for my pudding because usually with a bread and butter pudding, you will smother it with butter. With this one, you don't have to do it because panettone already has butter in it.
Place the pieces in the dish and press down.
Can you see all these little raisins? Don't throw them away because this is all flavor. Just scatter them all over. And then I'm using some local honey here, which I'm just gonna drizzle it. As this. Now let me show you how to make the cold custard. Usually when you have a bread and butter pudding, you will put on the heat the custard and thicken it up. I'm using a completely different technique, which is much simpler and it works as good as.
For the cold custard, use 2 whole eggs and 4 yolks.
Just gently whisk. What I don't want you to do is to whisk too hard, because otherwise it's going to start to foam, and all the other ingredients, they don't blend in very well when it foams. In there, we're gonna pour a little bit of vanilla extract, probably a tablespoon of vanilla extract will do the job. Then I'm using some Marsala wine.
Use 3 tablespoons of this sweet wine, and then add some custard sugar and whisk together. Add 400 milliliters of full-fat milk and a glug of double cream.
The double cream is gonna give extra richness. Job done. Your custard is ready. Okay, so I got my panettone with the honey in the dish. Get yourself a ladle. And what you want to do, slowly, slowly, make sure you pour the custard on the panettone. Now, once this is done, what I want you to do is to make sure you gently push the panettone into the custard.
Finally, to give it a nice crust, sprinkle over some brown sugar.
Now, you may be wondering, how am I gonna cook the pudding here? Well, I asked the restaurant around the corner from here, there is a chef called Fabio, and I said to him, I begged him this morning, I said, is there any chance you can pour the oven on? And very kindly, Fabio, he said yes. I kind of forced him. Che ne dici?
Molto bello.
Allora, nel forno, 160, 25...
And Fabio, by the way, is a Michelin-starred chef. No pressure.
I'm going to serve my panettone pudding with sweet ricotta. Now, in Italy, we use a lot of sweetened ricotta. I'm going to sweeten with honey.
Fold in the honey, and it's done. The pudding's been in the oven at 160 degrees for 25 minutes.
Il profumo è bellissimo, eh? And the smell is incredible. Now, look at that. See, that's what you want. You want the crust, you want all the custard beautiful and absorbed in the middle. Ok, ci mettiamo questo qua.
To finish, sprinkle with icing sugar.
Bellino, no?
Bellissimo.
Che ne dici? Look at that. Ce l'assaggiamo?
Certo. Prego.
Vai prima tu. Allora, I want the truth.
Fantastico.
Fantastico?
Croccante.
Fantastic is
Fresco.
my line usually, but it's okay. È croccante?
Croccante.
It's nice and crispy on top. That's the way it should be. This is just magnificent. Panettone and honey pudding with local ingredients done here in the beautiful San Marino with my friend Fabio.
I am 200 miles into my Adriatic road trip, and I'm driving through a national park with a landscape so special it has protected status.
This is one of the Adriatic's and Italy's best-kept secrets, the Conero Riviera.
I'm 80 miles south from my last stop in San Marino. This coastal paradise stretches for 22 miles and centers around the magnificent Mount Conero, the only mountain on the Adriatic that rises straight from the sea. This limestone peak has created the white pebble beaches, emerald green waters, and fertile soil of this fruit farming region. This is the part of Italy I have never visited. It's still relatively undiscovered and it's been called the New Tuscany.
And like Tuscany, this area is famous for its wine. And the local specialty is called Rosso Conero.
Wine has been produced on the slopes of Mount Conero since the 1500s. I'm heading to the oldest and I'm told the best vineyard in the region.
Buongiorno.
Benvenuto.
Marco runs the Moroder Winery, a family business that dates back 300 years. It's nestled in 120 acres of glorious countryside, just a stone's throw from the Adriatic Sea.
How long have you been doing this Rossocona?
I'm the 8th generation doing this wine in this area.
8th generation.
8th generation.
And what makes this wine so special? Because, you know, everywhere you go in Italy, everybody says, hey, we have the best wine, this is special, this is this is that.
So the first and main things is the position. That one is the Conero Mountain.
Okay.
And immediately after this hill, there is a cliff. So we are now 300 meters above the sea level, at the same time, few meters from the sea.
So in the wind, you get the saltiness of the sea coming through.
And also the soil is very clay and calcareous, so the best one for red grapes. So the only place on the coast where you find the red grapes.
Clearly, we are at the beginning of the season. Yeah. I mean, there is no full grapes on. I can see the little grapes coming through. At this stage, do you know if you're going to have a good harvest?
Not yet. I mean, it's a very delicate moment,
yeah.
But all the next 3 months are very important.
Okay. What is the worst thing that can happen to a vineyard?
Grandine.
Grandine, so hailstones. That's the worst thing.
Even in this moment, or even worse at the end, when the grapes...
When everything is ready. I don't think you're going to get a hailstone now, is he?
I don't want to say loud, but for the position, we were lucky so far.
Once the grapes have been picked, crushed and fermented, the wine is aged.
Now we go downstairs in the cellar.
Down there?
Yeah, down there.
It's a bit dark.
We let him out.
Oh, wow.
Built by Marco's ancestors, the cellars are as old as the vineyard itself.
So this is where the wine matures and all the magic happens.
That's correct. Here is where we age our Conero Riserva.
See, that's interesting. The amount of water coming out of the rocks.
Yeah, this cave was scratched 300 years ago inside the natural rock. So the temperature is 13 degrees summer and winter, and the humidity is very, very high.
And I guess that is what makes this wine so special. Keep it the same temperature.
Correct, and same temperature, high humidity for maintain the oak wet. In this way, the oxygen can't get inside.
How long you leave it for in the barrel?
Up to 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, this is the reserve.
Very nice. Beautiful there. If I drink red wine, and by the way, I only like to drink red wine, for me it has to be full-bodied, it has to be strong. I want to taste the grapes. Is this the kind of wine I'm going to taste?
Definitely you can taste it. So starting from the color that you can see is quite dark, you can already understand is a
oh yes,
rich wine.
The color is the kind of color that I like. It's like blood. I know that I'm going to get something strong. Salute.
Alla no.
Salute. Okay. Quite dry, which I love.
It is.
This is beautiful. This is the kind of wine I would drink 100%. And you know what, as well? I wish you the best of luck. This is giving me an amazing idea for a recipe. I'm thinking I'm just going to finish off the bottle of wine by myself. I'm thinking chocolate. I'm thinking fresh fruits. I'm thinking I'm going to be here all day. Really? I'm going to be here all day.
I've resisted the urge to drink it all, and I'm making Marco a simple fruit and chocolate treat that will go perfectly with his wine.
Trust me, this is a super cool recipe and anyone can do it.
I'm using seasonal fruits and melted white and dark chocolates.
Then here I also have amaretti biscuits. Get some of the amaretti biscuits, put them in your hands. Quite a satisfying thing to do, by the way, and just crumble away. Crumble like that. And I'll show you later what to do with it. Let me get a break. This one is good. This one is going to go absolutely fantastic with the chocolate and the fruits. Okay. So I'm going to do some of them in white chocolate. So you dip them in. Just make sure you run a little bit of the chocolate out. And then it goes straight on the tray.
And this is cool. If you go a party, instead of giving the usual dessert, do a beautiful platter of chocolate-coated fruit. And you know what? Get the kids involved. Chop up all the fruit for them and let them get messy and all of that, because it's only by doing stuff like this that children get interested in cooking and get interested in eating fruits. Let's talk about the amaretto biscuit. What you can do with this, okay? For example, let's choose the mango. You can sprinkle some of them on the mango like that. I'm gonna sprinkle some of them on the strawberry.
There are no rules about toppings. I'm using chopped hazelnuts, crushed pink peppercorns, and chili flakes.
And chili and chocolate is an absolutely must-try combination.
Add some finely sliced fresh mint to top it off.
That's it.
Pour in the fridge for 30 minutes and wait for the magic to happen.
There it is. This is the masterpiece. Look at that. I think it's a very cool, simple idea. Marco, vieni. I want Marco and his wife to try. Vieni. Ciao.
Eccoci.
Tutto bene?
Grazie.
Tutto bene? What do you think?
Spettacolo.
What do you think it is with your wine?
We will try immediately.
You will
I think
try?
it will be better.
Look at her. Hey, Bella. Gonna come with Gino? Come with Gino.
Andiamo.
I'll tell you what. I will babysit. Enjoy your date. Ciao, Bella.
Grazie.
Should we go play? Should we go play?
Perfetto.
I'm exploring the stunning Conero Riviera. This stretch of the Adriatic is characterized by 8 hilltop towns, each with its own story to tell. From Baroque artists to exquisite tailoring and Italian poetry. The one I'm heading to is 30 minutes south and inland for Marco's Vineyard, the medieval town of Castelfidardo. Standing 200 meters above the sea, this is a small town with a big history.
Now, this may look like any other town that you would find in Italy on top of the hills, but let me tell you, this town has a special things going on. This is the birthplace of the accordion.
The history of the Italian accordion began in Castelfidardo 150 years ago. Today, the town is considered its global home, with a thriving accordion building industry using traditional methods. And I'm told there is something very special in the town's accordion museum.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Giancarlo?
Sì.
Mi fa vedere dove è la fisarmonica?
Sì, l'accompagno, prego.
Prego. Apparently he's got the biggest one in the
Vi
world.
faccio vedere anche un po' come nasce una fisarmonica, lo sviluppo, poi andiamo
Sì.
a vedere la fisarmonica.
Accordion, of course, accordion. Mamma mia! E quanto è grande!
Questa è
This is
la...
enormous!
Giancarlo made this accordion. It stands at just over 8 feet tall and 6 feet wide. It's so big, it needs 2 people to play it.
So what he's done is putting a piston inside because he won't be able to use his arms. So then he gives air to the accordion, and this is how it works.
The museum celebrates the work of Paolo Soprani, who transformed this farming town in the late 1800s by founding Italy's accordion industry.
I've asked the same question that you're thinking. Why would you want to build such a huge accordion? And Giancarlo was explaining this because he's been passionate about this instrument since he was a little boy, and he just wanted to give something back to the accordion, so that's the reason why he built the biggest one in the world. E già abbiamo finito.
Solo questo pezzetto.
I just asked him, can you do a longer piece? He said, no, I only know 2 or 3 chords.
Fai solo un pezzettino e basta, mica.
I sold it like you were the master of the accordion.
The streets of Castelfidardo echo with the sound of the accordion from talented local musicians like Massimo Marconi, who are keeping this tradition alive.
A sinistra. Devi prendere l'anulare.
Before I came to meet you, I thought, I'm not sure it's the kind of instrument I would like, but the sound is really cool.
It's the sound is very similar to the voice of a human.
Is
And
it?
so it's the...
I really like it. I think I can get used to this.
Accordion keys are similar to a piano, and the sound comes from the air being pushed through the reeds. Sounds simple enough. Okay, I may need a bit more practice. I think I'll be hearing accordions in my dreams tonight. I'm living in Castelfidardo and driving 6 miles to the coastal resort of Numana. Italians holiday here in the summer to enjoy the water sports and explore the national park. The most iconic of the many hidden coves here is Two Sisters Bay, but it's only accessible by sea. So getting to one of the region's best-kept secrets, it's not going to be easy.
Buongiorno.
Thankfully, keen paddleboarder Carlo Newman is on hand to help.
You know, I've done this maybe once when I was about 10 years old. Is it still easy?
It is very easy.
You haven't got a pair of armband for me, have you? Oh, let's do this. It's wobbly, eh? Are you still behind me? Where are you?
I come.
Try to get to the beach.
But this thing has got a mind on its own. Remind me again, why could we not get a jet ski?
Now is the most difficult part.
Orca madosca. This is getting windier. Why don't you just stay here and sunbathe? No? Come and stay here and relax with you. We go for the pines. Why do we have to do all this exercise?
Turns out paddleboarding is not for me. I think I'll be sticking with cooking. But luckily, there are also boat trips to Two Sisters. This is more like it.
See, when you said to me, I'm going to take you to meet Two Sisters,
yes,
I had a completely different thing in my mind. That's it. This is the Two Sisters.
These are the Two Sisters, yes, not the other one.
The cove is named after these two twin rocks, which rise from the crystal clear water. It has been voted one of Italy's most beautiful and unspoiled beaches. Legend has it, the rocks represent two beautiful sisters who perished at sea.
So what is so special about this place?
It's very quiet. You see white beaches, but the mountain is very green. The water is blue. The colors are so relaxing.
This area is popular with Italian holidaymakers, but it remains under the radar for most foreign travelers.
Why there are not so many tourists?
The local people are a little bit jealous on this place.
I see they like to preserve their little paradise,
yes,
without telling everybody. You guys should come here, by the way. All right? Don't tell them that I send you. Just come here.
Before I leave the national park and continue my road trip, I'm making a final stop near Mount Conero to cook up one of my favorite dishes using the local pasta.
Now, every region you go in Italy, there is always a shape of pasta that defines that region. And right here, this is the shape. These are called paccheri. What I like about this is that whatever sauce you're gonna do with it, all the sauce is gonna get into the paccheri and it's just gonna be beautiful and delicious.
I'm making paccheri ai quattro formaggi, my twist on macaroni cheese.
But technically, macaroni cheese is more of an American thing, okay? I'm gonna show you the traditional way to do it with 4 of the best Italian cheeses.
Remove any rind and roughly chop the cheeses. I'm using a soft taleggio.
If you can find taleggio, you could use stinking bishop.
A blue gorgonzola.
Look at that, this is gonna give an amazing flavor.
And a smoked scamorza that will turn stringy once melted.
Big chunks, you don't have to cut it too small because everything is gonna melt in the pan.
And put them in a cold pan.
And there is a reason why I use cold pan, because if the pan is hot, it's very difficult when you cook to control the heat. So start with cold and then end up with the heat underneath.
Pour over some full fat milk. Next, add 3/4 of a teaspoon of paprika and a dash of extra virgin olive oil to give it a little extra shine.
Now is the time to put the heat underneath, but make sure you put it very low. Allow the cheese to melt slowly, slowly. If you burn the cheese, you're gonna ruin this recipe. This is gonna be yummy, I can guarantee you that. As the cheeses are melting, let's cook the pasta. First of all, you need a large pot with loads of water. You need to allow the pasta to move into the water. Rule number 2, the water has to be boiling. Then the bubble will make sure that the pasta doesn't stick. Third and most important rule is salt. See, if you don't put salt, the pasta is gonna be absolutely tasteless. Okay, the other ingredients I'm going to add is fresh chive. And I like chive to go in a cheese sauce because it lifts up the dish with fresh flavor, which is very important.
Finally chop, put a bit in the sauce, the rest I'll sprinkle on at the end.
See, the cheese sauce is actually ready. I still like when pieces of cheeses are not completely melted because that gives texture. And the sauce has to be slightly runny because once we put then the pasta into the sauce, we're gonna allow the pasta in the sauce to coat it onto the heat so it doesn't get too dry. And that is the secret how to make the best pasta with cheese sauce. This is perfect, look at that.
Check your pasta is al dente.
Perfect.
Drain the pasta and put it straight into the cheese sauce. Keep stirring until the cheese goes stringy. Then add the final cheese, grated pecorino.
Now, do you remember before you may thought the sauce was a little bit runny? Look at now. It's thickening up because of the starch of the pasta. It's getting stringy. I can't wait to try this anymore.
Finish with chopped chives and a little more pecorino cheese.
That's it. That is the way it's done. Paccheri ai quattro formaggi.
Simple comfort food at its tastiest. I am almost 350 miles into my journey south along the entire Adriatic coast. And I've arrived in the agricultural province of Foggia. From here, I'll be catching a ride to the remote islands of Tremiti. They are Italy's only Adriatic archipelago. A secret hideaway, these 5 lush green islands are known as the Pearls of the Adriatic.
I have to say, not the usual Italian weather, but it is what it is. My worry is that I need to get on an helicopter right now, so wish me luck.
I haven't chartered a private helicopter. This is the twice daily shuttle service for the islanders, and it's costing me just 50 euros.
Sì, lei di dov'è?
Francia.
Francia!
Sì, Costa Azzurra.
Costa Azzurra.
Ibiza,
Okay, so the pilot is a
Very good.
Frenchman.
First, I'll be exploring the largest island of San Dominio. The flights there should take 20 minutes, but as I'm traveling on one of the few stormy days of the year, it takes a little longer and makes for a bumpy ride.
I came here the first time, I must have been about 7, 8 years old, with my mom and dad and my little sister. So this brings a lot of memories in my mind.
Monks were the first settlers here back in the Middle Ages. Now it's home to a small community of 300 families. Tremiti became a holiday destination for Italians in the 1940s, and it's still one of our best kept secrets.
Now, there are two ways you can come here on the Tremiti Island. You can use an helicopter, which flies 2 times every day, or you can get a ferry. I suggest the ferry.
San Dominio is the most populated and greenest of the islands. Covered by dense pine forests, surrounded by rocky cliffs, falling into turquoise waters.
Finally, the sunshine is out. I'm gonna go with my friend Marco here in this little car. Come va? Everything all right? He's gonna take me to see the islands. Oh!
Marco's family have lived here since the 18th century and now run one of the hotels. He's taking me to the best vantage point to appreciate these stunning islands.
Il piacere dell'isola, riconoscere il posto, si sta bene d'inverno.
Sì?
Sì, sì.
So in the peak of the summer, it's 400 people on this island. And during the winter, there are more or less 200 people. And obviously my question is, coming from London, is what do you do with 200 people all winter? He said, we live in peace, which I can kind of get it. I like that.
San Domino is just 2 miles square, with 1 road, half a dozen hotels, and a tiny harbor.
E a livello di ingredienti potete portare un po' di tutto qua, penso.
Ma gli ingredienti, tu devi pensare che già dal tempo dei Benedettini.
This is called the Paradise Island as far as ingredient is concerned, because any fruit and veg you can think of, they grow it. If there is something in particular that they haven't got, there are helicopter and boats who brings all the other ingredients here.
Qua si vede tutto l'arcipelago, siamo sopra i pagliai. Qua
Look
siamo...
at that. Mamma mia. E che è quell'isola là?
Quella in fondo è San Nicola, dove c'è tutto il centro storico.
Marco points out San Nicola, the only other inhabited island with its imposing fortress. Right in front is Cretaccio, the smallest of the Tremiti Islands.
Capraia.
Quella è Capraia?
Quella è Capraia.
E non c'è nessuno?
C'è nessuno, c'è solo il faro.
And to the left is Capraia, named after its wild capers. The 5th island, Pianosa, is further away, closer to Croatia.
I really like that island there. That's called Caprara. Just ask him if they would sell it to me. Straightforward, no.
As a chef, what excites me about San Domino is the abundance of fresh ingredients.
See, here on the Tremiti Island, they grow pretty much whatever they need. They have all the herbs they want, fruit, vegetable, and Marco gave me the access to his back garden, and he actually told me I can pick up whatever I want.
The islands are almost self-sufficient. The volcanic soil is rich in minerals, which makes for fertile growing conditions. And wild fennel like this grows everywhere here.
Now, let me explain something to you about parsley. I often see people using curly parsley. Let me tell you, that is wrong. Flavored-wise, they're useless. They're very woody, pretty much tasteless. If you want to use parsley, and this is going to be perfect for my next recipe, I always suggest to use this. Flat leaf parsley. This is the real flavor of parsley.
The ingredient that's most abundant here is seafood, bought into the harbor every morning fresh from the Adriatic. So for Marco, I'm cooking fish skewers with my Italian twist on a tartar sauce.
On the Tremiti Island in the middle of the Adriatic. Now, there is only one thing that I wanted to do: barbecue.
I'm cooking with today's catch: barracuda, mackerel, monkfish, prawns, and squid.
Now, skewers, a lot of people, they use those wooden skewers, the one that you soak them and that. I like metal skewers because they're easier. And the thing with metal is that once you put the skewer on the barbecue, because metal attracts a lot of heat, you cook the fish from the inside faster as well. And to make the skewers even tastier, I love to use lemon. The way to do it, I start with the lemon. So that's your starting point. Then I'm gonna put a chunk of barracuda. Then I got a little bit of monkfish, like this. Then I got some mackerel. That's another one that I found this morning. Just fillet mackerel, very good for you, oily fish.
Mackerel is also cheap, but any firm fish will work.
Then press everything together, like this, and the job is done. Now, let me show you a proper Italian marinade. First of all, extra virgin olive oil. Then we go salt. Very important to salt the fish at the beginning. Then I'm gonna use cheeky chili flakes. You could use black pepper if you want. All right, so move the skewers around. I'm worried about the seagulls that they're gonna take my skewers.
Finally, a squeeze of lemon juice.
There we go. There it is. Now, looking at the barbecue, which is quite hot, now this will take about 6 minutes on each side.
These skewers can also be cooked under a grill.
Now, the first ingredient for the tartar sauce, I'm using mayonnaise. Then I got these little gherkins, chop away. So I'm using about 4 or 5. Then in there, I'm gonna use capers. Everywhere on these islands, you can find capers everywhere. Caper berries and normal capers. Again, chop away. In there, I'm also using finely chopped shallots, okay? That goes on top as well. And I'm gonna pour flat leaf parsley and the fennel we picked up this morning with Marco. Like this. In there, we're gonna put a little bit of lemon juice and a touch of white wine vinegar, just to give natural sharpness. And then some chili flakes, just to give an extra kick. Oh, happy with that.
This sauce is also incredible mixed with new potatoes.
And now, moment of the truth. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. With a squeeze of lemon all over. And finally, a little drizzle extra virgin olive oil. Now this is what I call a barbecue on the beach. Ehi Marco, becca di questa. Eh?
Cosa hai preparato?
Che ne pensi? Vai.
Questo ci si serve, si mangia così.
He wants a knife and a fork.
Buono.
Com'è?
Molto buono. Poi anche la salsa.
È piccante, eh? Marco says the sauce is quite spicy. That's the idea! Oh, the tartar sauce. È buono, eh?
Buono.
So far,
on the Tremiti Island, I'm having the time of my life. Salute.
I'm in the middle of the Adriatic, exploring the largest of the Tremiti Islands, San Domino. 30 years ago, the waters of this unspoiled archipelago became a protected marine reserve.
Buongiorno. Hi, Gino.
Hi, Gino.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this all morning.
Gaetano and his dive team help monitor and protect the underwater conservation zone. They are taking me to a special spot on the south of the islands.
They told me this is one of the best places in the Adriatic coast
Yes,
to come
it
and
is.
snorkeling. Why?
Yes, it is, because you can find several kind of flora, fauna, that's particularly, and you can find only here in Tremiti Island.
So now we are in the middle of the Adriatic. What about pirates? Did you guys have pirates here?
Yeah, they're the Turkish pirates, because this particular island is exactly in the middle of the Adriatic. So
Yeah.
all the people come from Dalmatia coast. If they want to go to Italy coast, they have to stop
They
in
stop here
Tremiti Island.
and then carry on.
Yes, and they pay lots of money and
So
stuff.
we
to
couldn't
the
find gold. We couldn't find a chest of gold.
Yes, of course.
Huh?
Definitely colder than I thought it would be. Okay, ready?
There is an incredible variety of fish here, from cow bream to red scorpion fish. But it's the rare coral beds and sea plants that makes these waters unique. The seabed is littered with ancient Roman shipwrecks, and divers come from all over the world to explore this underwater paradise. And I have landed on one of the dozen secret coves that surround this island.
Well, guys, if you like snorkeling and go underwater, definitely I would suggest to come to the Tremiti Island. It's just awesome. Awesome.
After drying off, I'm leaving San Domino to explore the only other Tremiti island which is inhabited, San Nicola. It's just a 5-minute trip across on the shuttle boat. 100-foot stretch the locals here once swam. San Nicola's Abbey was built by monks in the Middle Ages, and this vast medieval fortress was built to protect it from invasion. These huge gates are the only way into the fortress. It's a steep half-a-mile walk up to the very top.
What's incredible about this island is that for centuries it was used as a prison, from the Roman Empire all the way to Mussolini.
This entire island operated as a prison. For 400 years, everyone from prostitutes to political activists were exiled here. There is still a small village in the middle of the fortress, where some descendants of those prisoners still live.
And after all the walking, this is the prize, the Abbey of Santa Maria a Mare. Bellissimo.
Built in the 11th century, the crumbling abbey still serves as the church for the tiny community that lives here. Father Massimo is the priest.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno,
Padre
benvenuto
Massimo,
in questa isola magica.
Bellissimo.
C'è un clima magico, silenzio.
È stupendo.
Silenzio totale.
You know, that's one thing that Father Massimo said, which I spotted straight away, is the silence around here. Ma durante l'inverno, Quante persone vivono su quest'isola?
Allora, qua siamo 30 persone al massimo in tutto l'inverno. Qualche volta siamo 10 persone.
No. The interesting thing is that on this island, especially at winter time, they only have between 10 and 25 people living on the whole islands. And I was asking Father Massimo, but how can you live, such a small community? And he was explaining that it's like a big family.
E la cosa bella che ti devi accontentare. Si impara ad accontentarsi di tutto. Non c'è niente.
He said the most important thing that you realize when you live on an island like this is that really humans, we don't need as much as we think we need. We don't need phones and internet and all the things that they bombarding us to buy and do it. And I think it's a brilliant way of living. I don't know if I could live like that, I have to say, but I admire someone who lives like that.
Behind the abbey is a derelict monastery, and beyond that, a spectacular view of the islands.
I can't believe it that they used to send the people here as a punishment. This is just paradise.
Before I leave these magical islands, I'm going to use one of the herbs that grows wild everywhere here, rosmarino, in a traditional Italian steak dinner.
I'm going to show you how to make a tagliata, which is a beautiful ribeye steak, thinly sliced. We're going to serve it on rocket leaves with balsamic glaze. Then I'm going to do a salad with a bit of radicchio, walnut, pears, a touch of gorgonzola. Now, let me show you my favorite cut of meats, the ribeye, okay? There is a lot of fat. Can you see all these veins of fat into the meat? Well, these veins of fat will melt as you cook it. And this is gonna be tender, plenty of flavor. Guys, ribeye, if you like a steak, is the cut of meat you want to use. Now, often people, they make the mistake, they get the oil and they put the oil straight on the griddle pan. That is not the way to do it. The way to do is this. You put a touch of oil on the steak and just rub the oil all over the steak on both sides. So hot griddle pan, listen to the sexy sound of a steak on a grill. I've just picked up a lot of rosemary that is on the islands, and I'm going to prepare a bed because it's very important to rest the steak before you start to cut it. And what's going to happen, once you put the steak on there, the heat of the steak is going to absorb all the flavor of the rosemary. So this is going to be my resting bed for the steak. Now, the other things that you're going to have to remember, and this, I have to say, is a man problem. What a man tends to do is this. Then he moves the can. Then from left goes to right, then from right goes to left, and then from the top, from the bottom. The more you move the steak, the more moisture you're going to lose, the tougher the steak is going to be. So now have a look at the color. Look at that. That tells you that the steak is cooked from on one side to perfection. Nice and crispy, okay?
Cook for around 4 minutes on each side for medium.
Pick up your steak, straight onto the bed of rosemary. Now, you can imagine what's up in here. The hot steak is going to absorb all the flavor of the fresh rosemary.
While the steak rests, lightly grill some sliced pear and cherry tomatoes.
By the time that I cut the steak, it should be all done. Now, the way I like to serve it, like a proper tagliata, get yourself a nice long tray, rocket leaves on the bottom. On one side, I got some beautiful radicchio here, which I'm just going to slice. So this I'm going to put on this side. Then for the steak, you just lift it up. See all the juices, they're all gone on the bottom there. And now is the time to cut it. So I'm going to start this side first. See, the good thing by making tagliata is that you can actually use 2 steaks to serve for 3 people. So it saves you money as well. Pick up the steak, tagliata. One I'm going to put it here. Oh, look at that.
Add salt, then a touch of olive oil and some Parmesan shavings.
So very important to put balsamic glaze because this gives a natural sweetness to the steak. Then we got our beautiful pears. And these.
Crumble over gorgonzola cheese, crushed walnuts, and finally, the grilled tomatoes.
See, what I don't understand, who says that a steak and salad has to be boring? Look at that. One thing about this island, it really takes away all the stress from you. So if you want a super relaxing holiday, Tremiti Island is the place to be. Salute.
I've traveled almost 400 miles down the east coast, and the natural beauty of the Adriatic is spectacular.
I'm now more than halfway along my journey, and I'm visiting somewhere unlike anywhere else on the Adriatic, Gargano National Park.
Gargano is the area that forms the unmistakable spur of Italy's hill. This 30,000-acre mountain range has protected national park status. These forests and olive groves are home to some of the oldest trees in Europe. Most of its pastures are used for grazing Podolica cows. This farm, 15 miles from the coast, produces a local specialty, caciocavallo cheese, that dates back to 500 BC. Giuseppe's family have been making it here by hand for 400 years.
Anche allora, certo.
No. Okay. Ah, smells amazing. Smooth. You get the saltiness, and there is a taste of smokiness. Sembra un po' affumicato. Come mai?
Perché nell'ambiente di lavorazione si accende il fuoco per scaldare il latte, per scaldare l'acqua, e quindi indirettamente...
They say that is a natural thing, because when they heat up the milk and the water as you're making the cheese, there will always be a fire in the corner going, and that gives that smokiness, so it's a natural smokiness to the cheese. Oh, questo è buonissimo.
Certo.
Once you make the cheese, then you have to hang it. The minimum is 2 months. But you can actually hang it for many, many years. The more it hangs, the more flavor will develop.
È un peccato perché diventa, come dire, un formaggio da meditazione.
So he was explaining that this is the ideal cheese for melting. I got an idea for this cheese.
Giuseppe has a herd of 100 rare Podolica cows. Their unique diet of wild herbs gives the caciocavallo its distinctive flavor. After milking, master cheesemaker Voltei separates the curds. He pours over hot, salty water, and as he pulls and stretches, the flavor starts to develop. It's almost 40 degrees outside, and there is a fire in this tiny room. Let's see if I can handle the heat.
Che caldo!
Mo caldo.
Che caldo che fa qua! Well, I have to say, when I woke up this morning, one thing that I didn't think I was going to do is stretching cheese. Okay, we can do that. Oh, nice and relaxing. Cheese making.
Sempre piano piano mette in acqua.
Sempre nell'acqua. Okay, so he said keep the moisture of the water, so then it stretches easier.
Mette in acqua fredda in mare per mangiare.
Then he said put your hands in cold water, otherwise you get burned. It's too late now.
Allungare, sempre allungare.
Ok. E quindi la devi filare. Sì, quante volte lo devi fare?
Più sottile, più meglio.
He said that the more you stretch it, and the better the flavor of the cheese is going to be.
This is a dying art. Just half a dozen local farms still make cheese this way. It requires physical strength, patience, and a good firm grip.
E quanti ne fai al giorno?
Mo poco, 3. Prima famo 4, 2, 3, 4.
Solo. He only makes between 3 and 4 caciocavallo a day, so you can imagine how special this cheese is.
Senza rovinare.
So this is the end caciocavallo. This is the end product. Now it's going to go straight into salamoia, which is salt and water together. So there you go. This cheese looks like a huge...
This special cheese deserves a special recipe. I'm thinking one of Italy's most famous dishes.
I'm going to show you a really cool vegetarian dish, melanzane alla parmigiana, which is baked aubergine alla parmigiana. And this, once you taste it, you will not miss meat at all.
Cut the aubergines into centimeter-thick slices.
And then, put salt on top. If you have a beautiful sunny day, just leave them in the sunshine for about an hour. And what's happened? All the moisture is going to come out and they're going to be nice and dry, ready to be fried. Now, the first thing that you have to prepare once you've done the aubergine is to make the tomato sauce. I'm not going to put any garlic. I'm not going to put any onion. I'm not going to do anything like that. I want the aubergine to be the queen of this dish. Tomatoes, I'm not going to use fresh tomato because to make a good Italian sauce, you should never use fresh tomatoes. It's got far too much water. I'm using tinned chopped tomatoes. I'm using about 4, straight into the pan with oil. In there, basil. Very important to use fresh basil. That goes in there. Salt, very important. And a little touch of black pepper. That's it, really.
Cook for 25 minutes and the job is done.
Oh, yes. This is perfect. All the water is out of the tomatoes. Now just put it on the side and leave it to rest. Now let me show you exactly what we're gonna do to cook the aubergine. We're gonna use half and half. Half vegetable oil, half olive oil. Olive oil tends to burn quite faster. So vegetable oil helps the oil not to burn. Half goes in there and we're gonna shallow fry, eh?
I have one dish with plain flour and one with beaten eggs to coat the aubergine.
Now, if you look at the aubergine, all these little drops of water, get a kitchen cloth, pat them down so you take all the excess water away. Then, get the aubergine into the flour. Now, slap the aubergine so any flour, any excess flour goes away into the egg. So, coating and slapping, coating and slapping. Lift them up, make sure all the runny egg comes out, straight into the oil. That's it. You probably want to cook this one for 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes on each side. Look at the color. Beautiful, golden. You know that they're gonna be nice and crispy. Oh, yes. I remember when my mommy used to make the melanzane alla parmigiana, the smell of the frying aubergine used to go all over the house. And for me, I was kind of salivating from 7 o'clock in the morning until lunchtime to have this aubergine.
I've repeated the process for 30 slices. Now, time to layer.
So let's start. Aubergine on the bottom. See, that's what I want you to do. Cover the bottom completely, slightly overlapping the aubergine. Now, once you've done that, I'm gonna put a little bit of the tomato sauce, not too much, just dot it around the aubergine. This is how many people, they make a mistake when they do the parmigiana. They put far too much tomato sauce. Then in goes the almighty caciocavallo. Now, if you don't have the caciocavallo, you can use mozzarella, any cheese that is going to give you that kind of stringy texture. Now we go with the basil, okay? A little pinch of salt, Parmigiano Reggiano. And then we do it again. One for the Parmigiana, one for Gino.
It goes in the oven uncovered for 20 minutes at 180 degrees.
Now, once you take it out of the oven, it's very important you let it rest for a good 15 minutes before you serve it. Aubergine alla parmigiana should be served warm, never hot, because this is how you get the best
flavor out of the aubergine. Oh, è pronta, eh? Beccatevi sta parmigiana, guarda qua, guarda.
Bellissimo, che spettacolo, spettacolo.
Che ne dite?
It's very good.
See? The perfect melanzana is that you can see the layer with every ingredient in it.
E io veramente spero che ho dato giustizia al caciocavallo. I just told Giuseppe I hope I did justice to his caciocavallo. So, buon appetito.
Grazie.
Salute, salute. You're too young to drink, so no salute.
Very good.
It's good, eh? Oh, piano! They devour the parmigiana. Look at them! I've left the mountain ranges of Gargano behind and returned to the Adriatic coast. My next stop, 120 miles south, is the extraordinary town of Polignano a Mare. This shining gem sits on limestone cliffs above glittering waters, and I'd say is one of the most famous spots on this coast. Now, this place 20 years ago was almost derelict. Now, it's one of the most beautiful towns on the Adriatic coast. Once a poor agricultural region, tourism has changed its fortunes. Now, its enchanting narrow streets, rustic charm, and incredible views draw over 85,000 visitors each year. What is incredible about this town that it's actually been built on the caves, and I've never seen that before. Polignano a Mare means to be at sea, and this town literally looks like it's floating almost 30 meters above the sea caves. Ice cream time! Ciao bello, tutto a posto?
Certo.
Allora, ascolta, un bel gelato. Polignano's Gelateria regularly win the most prestigious ice cream competitions in Italy. Impossible to come around here and not having an ice cream. And my favorite flavor, nocciola, which is hazelnuts. I like stracciatella. And panna, which is whipped cream on top. Bello.
Prego.
Grazie, grazie. This town is also celebrated as the birthplace of the father of Italian singers. If you come to Polignano, you're gonna have to meet my friend, Domenico Modugno. In 1958, he wrote and sang what is perhaps Italy's most famous song, Volare. But it's not a singer, caves, or ice cream that brings the really big crowds here. This is the oldest house in town. Doesn't really look anything special from the outside, but apparently something special going on inside. Antonio?
Ciao Gino.
Buongiorno.
Come
Posso?
stai? Vieni, accomodati, accomodati. Vieni Gino, vieni. Qui stiamo entrando nella parte...
Antonio grew up here with his parents and grandparents. So this house is over 1,000 years old. It used to be a tower, so in the old days they can look out for pirates or anyone who wants to invade the town. But I've seen Roman defense towers before, and it's not the age of this house that makes it so special. Wow! Huh? Che vista! Now this is a view! Polignano's unique position so far above the sea has made the town a magnet for cliff divers. Adrenaline junkies jump from the balconies and cliff tops into the waters below, including Antonio's father and his friend, Volare composer Domenico Modugno. Antonio was saying that his dad and Domenico Modugno, they used to come here when they used to be young boys and jump from the cliffs And he believes the inspiration of writing volare, volare in English means flying, it comes from the fact that they used to see these crazy people flying from the cliff straight into the sea. And that's how the song came about. There you go. And 3 years ago, this little house became host to the biggest cliff diving competition in the world. Each September, huge crowds gather to watch elite divers compete for the world title, leaping from platforms 27 meters high, built from Antonio's balconies. And to get to the platforms, the divers actually walk through Antonio's home. Where we are at the moment is about 15 meters of height, but this is the lowest part of the house because you then can go all the way to the top, which is over 25 meters, where these crazy guys, they jump in the sea for over 25 meters. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I would definitely not do that. I'm definitely not ready for that height, but maybe I could give the lower 11-meter cliff a go on the other side of the cove. I'm gonna take the opportunity to say thank you to everybody. Hopefully, I'm going to see you very soon. If not, it's been a pleasure. I don't want to do it. Fantastic! Now I worked up an appetite, I'm going to create my version of stracotto, a local one-pot lamb stew. But not just the average lamb stew. My lamb stew has got celery, it's got black olives, orange zest, honey, fresh thymes, caramelized onion, red wine. It's got everything to make this the best stew ever. Now, the first thing we're gonna have to look after is the onions. Slowly caramelize, finely sliced red onion. Now, once they start to caramelize like this, which they look amazing and it smells divine, let's talk about the lamb. You can use leg of lamb, you can use neck of lamb. You cannot use fillet of lamb or any part of the lamb that is too tender. Size, look, big chunks, straight away inside with the onions. So you probably want to do this for a good 5 minutes before you start to add any other ingredients. So, as the lamb is cooking, celery. I love when I buy celery with the leaves. Often people, they throw away the leaves. I'm gonna use this at the end just to give an extra kick. Big chunks, okay? So, like that. Celery goes in. Then I'm gonna start to use thyme and bay leaf. Now, let me tell you something about bay leaf. This is a quite tough herb. What you want to do is this, look, in your hands, and bruise it. So you want it to really squish it. And the smell and the flavor is all gonna be released in there. So bay leaves goes in, thyme, just shake it, like that. Then orange zest. The flavor of the orange with the lamb, it just works beautifully. Let's start with the zest first. Don't throw away the orange because we're gonna use the juice of the orange as well later on. Make sure that, see all this zest in the back of your grater, just straight in there. Now, olives. Please make sure that they're pitted because someone will break their teeth. Now, once everything is in, honey. Honey and lamb, you can never go wrong, trust me. Guys, I wish you could smell this Okay, now it's time to add the one. The one that I've chose for this recipe is called Tormaresca. Now, this is a local wine from Puglia, from the region of Puglia. It's got a quite spicy flavor to it. Okay, there is a rule when you cook with wine or any other alcohol. Make sure that the first liquid that you add into your food is always the alcohol. Because as it goes in, okay, what you can see very clearly, it starts to bubble away, and it tells me that the alcohol is evaporating, but the flavor stays in the pots. Next, add tinned tomatoes, squeeze in the orange juice, stir, cover, and simmer for half an hour. The funny thing is that people around Polignano, they tend to eat more meat than fish, which is quite strange, being on the Adriatic coast. But because of the rocky relief, in the old days, it was very difficult for fishing boats to come to the coast, so they kind of tended to have more meat than fish. Still looking good. Okay. Now, remember it takes an hour and a half to cook my lamb stew. So we do the first half an hour without the potato, and now is the time to add in the potatoes. Make sure you use a waxy potato. I don't want a floury potato, because a floury potato is gonna break into the stew. I want a potato that can take another hour of cooking. So straight in there. After another hour of bubbling away, it's time for my final ingredients. First, add peas. Frozen or fresh will work. Then, do you remember the leaves from the celery? Just roughly chop them, a good handful. And this is gonna give color and flavors. Stir all together. Another 15 minutes, the job is done. While the stew simmers, rub raw garlic on toasted bread to accompany. So, nice rustic plates. Let's see. Look at that. Little garlic bread. Everything you need in life, right here, in one bowl. The next stage of my journey along the coastline brings me to the Itria Valley, which for me is the food heart of the Adriatic. An agricultural region, it's celebrated for incredible ingredients and must-do food experiences. This is a place where you can enjoy a different kind of holiday. This is food lovers' paradise. The area is littered with ancient farmhouses called masseria. Once the center of vast farm estates, many still grow traditional local produce. This one is run by Giuliano and his family. They've turned their 14th century farm into a hotel. So what is a masseria?
A masseria in Puglia, it's a word that we use to refer to a farmhouse.
Okay. So it's like an agriturismo?
Yes, yes.
So people
exactly.
can come here,
Yeah.
you know, sleep in your rooms and
Exactly.
enjoy,
Yes.
you know, all the local produce,
Yeah.
everything you got on the land.
It is an experience where we put people in touch with the nature.
I love to come to places like this because you know that you're gonna get the best food, you're gonna get food that is in season.
Yes.
You really cannot go wrong. And some of the masseria is even cheaper than a normal hotel. So why would you not want to be here and get the best experience ever?
Yes, yes.
Crazy.
In fact,
Crazy.
this is more real.
This is figs time. Which
Yes.
one? Oh, pick a good one, yeah?
Yes, I will. So see this? If you open it up, technically this is called a fiorone. It comes earlier than the normal figs. Texture is nice.
Sweet.
Yes, yes, yes.
Masseria were built as peasant farms in the Middle Ages. Many were then taken over by wealthy landowners in the 16th century. Most then fell into disrepair, but locals like Giuliano have bought them and restored them. Look in your masseria from here.
Yes.
Everything is very pristine, beautiful. It's always been like this?
No, no. When my family bought it, this place was abandoned for about 50 years. Okay. So it was a ruin. So it took about 10 years to renovate it. And and bring it back to life.
This region is Italy's biggest producer of olive oil. The older the tree, the sweeter the olives. So like wine, extra virgin olive oils can taste very different. Giuliano and his wife Alessandra have more than 2,000 trees.
So what's the difference?
Okay, so we made a distinction according to the age of the trees. This is from trees that have more than 1,000 years.
Have you got trees that are over 1,000 years old?
Yes, they can be 1,000, 2,000.
Pre-Christ as well?
Yes, definitely,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Which one we should try first?
We try with the Il Mille first, which
Okay.
means 1,000.
I'm here to have a shot with you. L'chaim.
Yeah, with those?
L'chaim. L'chaim. Italian people tend to do this suction thing, so then it kind of goes all over the palate.
Yes.
Beautiful flavor, really powerful, okay? Not too peppery, which is good,
No,
and it goes away. Should we have another
But,
shot?
Yes.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
more than 100 years.
L'chaim.
It's already itching a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first one was slightly bitter. This is slightly
Yes.
milder. This is my opinion.
Is your opinion?
Yeah.
This is from our youngest trees, 25, 30 years.
There you go. Not as strong as the other two.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. To friendship,
Yes.
Yeah.
to family,
Yeah.
and to the olive tree.
The older oils are sweet and strong and make good salad dressing. The younger, more bitter oil is better for cooking. So I'm using this to make a classic pasta dish for Giuliano and his family.
This dish requires 5 ingredients. Spaghetti, it requires a good extra virgin olive oil, garlic, then you want chili, and a little bit of parsley. Simple as that. And the first thing we're gonna have to do is parsley. Flat leaf parsley, quite a lot. Rule number 1, make sure that your saucepan at this stage is absolutely cold. Okay, happy with the parsley? So I got my garlic, 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. Has to be quite garlicky. So peel the garlic and start to roughly chop, and then we're gonna finally chop it. Now, put the parsley above the garlic and chop everything together. And whatever you do, there is no way that you're gonna blitz this one into an electric blitz, because it's just not gonna work, yeah? It's gonna get all dark and, you know, gooey, sticky together. You want to do this one by hand, just the way I'm doing it. Olive oil goes in a pan, like that. Then straight in goes the garlic and the parsley. And then you're just gonna put the chili. I'm using the chili flakes, so they're gonna go in. And just a fresh chili. I'm gonna use half of it. A medium hot red chili will definitely do the job. Chili goes in. And only now is when you're gonna switch on the heat under your frying pan. As soon as you see the garlic and the chili that it start to sizzle, switch off straight away. Your sauce is done. You know, you can make this one a little bit more sexy if you want. You can throw a few prawns in there, fresh cherry tomato, just cut them in half and throw them in. If you learn the basic of spaghetti, aglio, and peperoncino, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Okay, so this is perfect. So now I'm gonna go for the pasta. When you cook pasta, make sure that the water is boiling. In there, I'm going to add a handful of salt. There is nothing worse when people cook pasta in water where there is no salt.
Spaghetti is traditional for this recipe, but linguine or tagliatelle also work well.
Nearly there. Now, this needs another 30 seconds, so this is the moment now to put a little bit more heat under the oil, the garlic, and the chili. Okay, this is ready, so the pasta straight into the sauce. And see this little bit of water that it comes from the pasta? That is gonna make the
the sauce even better. Straight in. Look how the garlic, the parsley, the chili beautifully coats each strand of the spaghetti. Oh, yes. I wouldn't add any salt because remember we salted the water when we cook the pasta. From here, straight into the serving dish. I mean, if I have to have my last plate of pasta ever, I can tell you right now, this is the one I would. Fantastico. Ragazzi, pronti? Aglio, olio e peperoncino.
Bellissimo.
Ah, no, le facciamo la... No, don't start, eh? The lady first. Signora, mangiate, mangiate. Buon appetito.
Grazie.
Marcello wants a pasta.
Yes.
Io want some pasta. Io want some pasta. When you get older, what you need to do, you need to get a boyfriend who can cook. Okay, so then you don't have to do any cooking. Qua non si vede niente.
The Itra Valley is dotted with whitewashed towns, and my next stop is Cisternino, 10 miles south of Giuliano's Masseria. Its Renaissance architecture make it one of the prettiest towns in the area, but it's really famous for an unmissable culinary experience.
There is nothing better to go to your local butcher when you choose your fresh meat. And let me tell you something, in this town, they go in a step even further. Buongiorno!
Hola, buongiorno!
Enzo, come stai, bello? Tutto bene?
Started in the 30s, this family butchers is run by Pietro and his son Enzo. 20 years ago, they became the first barbecuing butchers of Cisternino.
What they're doing here is something unique. Because of the supermarket and the competition, they kind of reinvented themselves. So you can come here, choose the meat that you want, they will cook it behind there, sit at the table, and eat it straight away. That's, to me, is just magical.
This place is renowned for a particular local specialty.
Is nothing more than a piece of meat, which it can be veal, pork, beef. They bash it down very thinly, then they roll it, and then they put spices like chili, rosemary, then they put breadcrumb around. They call it bombette, which, if you want to translate, it means like a little bomb, because it looks like something that is going to explode. Me ne vuoi fare uno di tutto?
Un po' di tutto.
See, I really don't know what to choose, so I asked my friend Enzo to do one skewer with a mix of everything, because I want to try everything.
Enzo and his father were the first, but other local butchers have followed their lead. And now Cisternino draws visitors from all over Italy.
Gino, ci siamo?
Ah, siamo pronti, mamma mia. Allora.
Perché non sono piccanti, alla fine mangiamo il piccante.
Quelli piccanti, ok. So Enzo just suggested to have the one that they're not too spicy. Leave those at the end, otherwise you're going to ruin your palate. Buono. God, the meat is so tender. Tell you what, if you come to Cisternino and you don't try the bombette, you are absolutely crazy. This is delicious. Salute. Grazie, eh? Grazie.
Cisternino is a classic example of many white towns in this region, but 10 miles south is the most striking of them all, the glittering walled city of Ostuni.
It's known as the White City, and it's a spectacular sight as it rises from the olive groves.
The town's unique architecture has been influenced by many different civilizations, from the ancient Greeks to the Spanish. But it's the fact that every building here is painted white with limestone that makes Ostuni so special.
You were expecting me to be on a scooter? Look at that, this is much cooler.
Segways are the newest way to explore the city's steep slopes in the heat of the summer.
This place is full of little streets, back passageways, bridge, arches. Let me tell you something, this is the best way to spend the day. This is the highest point of the city, the Cathedral of Santa Maria dell'Assunzione, and is a fine example of Gothic architecture.
As the city is perched almost 700 feet above the olive groves, I can see the Adriatic Sea glistening 4 miles away. The lime is such a symbol of Ostuni that by law each building must be repainted every spring. Now in their late 60s, brothers Benedetto and Beniamino were born and bred here. They have been painting their city for more than 60 years.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, signor Gino.
Tutto bene?
Bene, grazie.
Benedetto?
Io mi sono Benedetto.
Benjamin, come va?
Benissimo.
Tutto a posto? The reason why I'm here because I volunteered that I'm going to paint, well, not the whole city, but part of the wall with them. Quando ma io non c'ho il cappello, non tengo niente.
Gino,
ok, because I don't want my hair to get messy.
Questo è il cappello
Very
tipico
good.
dell'imbianchino, Gino.
Ok.
Beniamino, prego,
So, I got
lui è
a
il
hat.
maestro. Lui è il maestro. Metti il grembiule.
Che si usava nei secoli scorsi, che serviva per non sporcarsi i pantaloni.
Pantaloni.
Okay, so I got my handmade hats. This is the traditional apron that they used to use in the old days so you don't get your trousers dirty.
Okay.
So the reason why they're using limestone paint is mainly for 2 reasons. Number one, because the white color reflects the light. And the most important thing is because they use it as a disinfectant. So in the old days, if there was a spread of a disease, the limestone would make sure that it was much more controlled.
And it was the lime's natural disinfectant qualities that saved Ostuni from being wiped out by the plague.
Vado?
Sì. Vai, Gino.
So, la tecnica dovrebbe essere...
Spiega
Ma com'è
bene.
che non si usa il rullo?
No, perché
No. So this is the traditional way. And the way to do it, they explain, you put in there, then you put it
Bravo.
upside down.
Che bravo, Gino. Bravo, bravo.
That's
bravo.
it.
Piano piano.
Slowly, slowly,
Piano piano, Gino.
you make sure that you go in all the cavity of the wall.
Così.
I'm wondering when I'm going to have a tea break. I'm
Vai,
tired
Gino.
already. It's hot
Vai,
in
Gino,
here.
vai. Bravo, Gino, bravo. Ti assumiamo subito, Gino, eh?
He wants to employ me to do this. In as much as I want to really help them, I don't think this is for me. I'm going to stick with cooking.
While Beniamino and Benedetto finish the tower, I'm going to prepare the king of all Italian desserts, the coffee and cream classic tiramisu.
Now, this is a recipe that has been given to me by my grandfather, okay? And let me tell you, every time I do it, it never fails. First thing, need to get a dish like this, because to make a good tiramisu, you need to make a big batch. Don't do it in the little fancy glasses. Make a big one, so then all the flavors develops together. It all starts with eggs. So get yourself 2 bowls, and we want 5 eggs. Now, the way to separate, there are 2 ways. There is the way where I guarantee you're gonna make a mistake, i.e. when you start to juggle the egg yolk and the egg white in 2 shells, I'll guarantee you one of the egg yolk is gonna break. Or there is my way, where you're gonna have to use the little finger. So you just pick up the eggs, the egg yolk, and you just run it very gently through your finger like that, and that's how you get your perfect egg yolk. So add 6 tablespoons of caster sugar into the egg yolk.
Beat the whites until they form soft peaks.
Okay, this is definitely done.
Then whisk the yolks and sugar together.
See how it's changed the color? Look at that. Now it's going into a pale color instead of be bright yellow.
What it means that the sugar is completely dissolved into the egg yolk, so you don't have the gritty sugar into your teeth. Okay, now, for a good tiramisu, you're gonna have to use mascarpone cheese, which you can find anywhere. So you just pick it up gently with a flexible spatula, just fold the mascarpone into the egg yolk. I'm going to use whipped double cream. You pick it up and you put in there, a couple of spoons at a time, and then start to fold in. My next ingredient is amaretto liqueur. It comes from almonds. It gives a fantastic flavor. So what you want is 6 tablespoons of amaretto liqueur straight in. Now you probably start to think now that the cream mixture looks a bit runny. Don't panic, because when it goes into the fridge, it will set beautifully. Now we're gonna fold in the egg white. Do 3 spoonfuls at a time, okay? Then gently, you fold like this, from the bottom to the top, because you don't want to lose any air from the egg whites. Whenever I make a tiramisu, I always make sure that I make myself a good espresso, because I like the coffee to be strong. If you don't want the coffee to be too strong, you can use instant coffee, but trust me, it's not the same. But whatever you do, the most important thing is to make sure that the coffee is cold. In there, I'm going to add amaretto liqueur. I think 4 or 5 tablespoons will definitely do the job. There is only one biscuit to use when you make a tiramisu, and the biscuit is called Savoiardi. Very important, whenever you dip the biscuit into the coffee, not to over-soak it, okay? So look what I'm doing. In, count until 2, biscuit out. 1 and 2, the biscuit comes out. And very important, keep the sugar side always on top. In, 1 and 2, out. Good tiramisu should always have 2 layers of biscuits. See what you have to do? A perfect layer on the bottom. Now, half of the cream goes straight on top of the biscuits. Like that.
Add a second layer of biscuits, then another of cream.
You just give it a nice shake, then you cover with cling film into the fridge for a minimum of 3 hours. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where is the cocoa powder? Why is he not shaking the cocoa powder on top and then put it into the fridge? If I put the cocoa powder now on top of the tiramisu and then it goes into the fridge, the cocoa powder is going to become really bitter.
After 3 hours in the fridge, sprinkle with the cocoa powder, some toasted almonds, and serve with cherries stewed in sugar.
Ragazzi, pronti?
Pronti.
Guarda che tiramisù che vi ho fatto. Guarda là, va.
Meraviglia, guarda.
Allora, piccola, grande.
A big portion.
A big portion. Now all of a sudden he talks English. Big portion, a big portion. Vabbè, big portion.
Mamma mia.
Vi faccio il vostro bianco, perché sennò dite che... Perché il bianco è il bianco di Ostuni. So yours is white. Buon appetito.
Buon appetito.
Grazie.
Allora. Com'è?
Leggerissimo, Gino.
Salute allora a questo progetto.
Grazie, Gino.
I'm nearly 3/4 of the way along my Adriatic journey and heading deeper into Puglia. It's one of Italy's hottest destinations, and my next stop is among its biggest draws.
As you live in the Adriatic Sea and heading inland, one thing you start to spot straight away is these little houses with a cone-shaped roof. They're called trulli, and my next place that I'm going to visit is full of them.
The truly capital of Alberobello is a small city with a big history. There are 1,500 trulli here, the largest concentration in Italy. Some date back to the 14th century, which has earned the town World Heritage status.
This is one of the most photographed places in Italy. Look at that, it's like a movie set.
Mimmo was born and raised here and has dedicated his life to restoring trulli.
You know one thing that I've noticed? On top of the trulli, there is a different pinnacle each time. Why is that?
Different pinnacle, different builder. It's the signature of the man that built the construction.
Oh, I see.
Each trullo is a different shape and size. Traditionally, peasant farmers would build two or more together as a home for their family and animals. This one has been preserved by Mimmo as a museum.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, it's nice.
So this is what a trullo used to be.
This house is 460 years old.
Okay. And it's still standing?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Why are they like that?
What's easier to build, a cone on the dome?
I would say a cone.
So truly are conical houses, a ring on a ring on a ring. Every cone is a room.
Yeah.
And even the dimension of the cone has a meaning. Small cone, easy to make warm during the night, bedroom.
Sì.
Bravo.
Sì. What kind of stone? What kind of material?
This is solid lime stone.
But would it have a cement in the middle or?
Gino, nothing.
Nothing. So was stone one on top of each other?
Look.
Oh,
it's
I see.
a dry construction.
The dry stone trullos were designed to avoid property tax, as they could be dismantled in a matter of hours if the inspector called.
So this is where they used to keep the animals?
Absolutely, yes. Okay. In a stable. And
what kind of animals, though?
Sheep, goats, pigs.
This in the old days. The new trullo, what happens underneath the trullo?
This is a very clever question.
See?
During the Second World War, trulli have been turned into modern houses with facilities. The first generation of people pooping in the trulli is my great-grandmother.
Seeing the ancient trulli has inspired me to find out more about the traditional foods that the first settlers here would have made. Which is why I'm meeting Mimmo's mamma, Cosima.
Because the trullis are very small, the women in Alberobello, when they have to make fresh pasta, they always tend to do outside in the garden. And I'm just about to meet Cosima here. Hello. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
And she's now going to show me how to make the most famous pugliese pasta, which is this. Orecchiette.
Orecchiette means little ears, due to its shape, and has been made from local wheat since the 1400s.
La prima cosa va la semolina.
La semolina.
Believe it or not, Cosima has been making this pasta for over 60 years.
Poi mettiamo acqua calda.
This recipe is incredibly simple. Cosima adds hot water to semolina flour.
The reason why you add hot water is because then it doesn't stick to your finger. What I like about Italian women when they make pasta, no matter what they do, they always look so glamorous. Tutta tipo alla Sofia Loren.
Sempre cornutino napoletano.
Cosima doesn't put any salt or any extra virgin olive oil or anything like that. It's literally semolina and hot water.
Mia madre mi obbligava a farlo.
No.
Sì.
I asked her, when did you learn to do the pasta? And she said 6 years old, because her mom, she used to say to her, well, instead of playing with something that is going to be useless, playing with something that then we're going to eat. I like that. I'm going to use that. Allora.
Tagli.
Taglio.
Strisci, il dito dietro deve andare.
Così.
Strisci piano piano, sì, lasciatelo sul dito adesso. Con la mano stessa tu vai.
Poi comunque... Ah, that's it. So, a little piece, then you put the finger on top of the knife, so the pasta goes into your index finger, then you turn around, and the job is done. She just showed me another shape of pasta, so where you make the dough a little bit thinner, and then you put the 3 finger in there, you press it down, and you roll it.
Perfetto.
Ah.
Questi insieme si chiamano i maritati.
Ah, so traditionally, they cook the 2 shapes together, and they call it maritati, which translate into
marriage, because one is, I guess, a boy, and I'm gonna guess this is the girl. No, questa è la femmina.
Più o meno.
I'm really sorry, but that's what she said. What do you want me to say? Now I got my homemade orecchiette, and I can see some beautiful fresh rosemary over there. Let's get on and cook.
I'm making Puglia's most famous pasta dish, orecchiette con cime di rapa.
The only difference that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some sausages, I'm gonna add a little bit of pecorino, but if you love the shape of pasta orecchiette, this is the plate of pasta that you should do.
Pour a splash of extra virgin olive oil and sliced garlic into a cold pan. Then add a pinch and a half of chili flakes.
I'm using Italian sausages. Now, get the sausage in your hands, you squeeze it to make sure that the skin of the sausage is out and start to crumble it all over the dish. You can really see pieces of proper pork in there with black pepper, a little bit of fennel, so there is no need to add anything else. Wash your hands, remember, because you touch raw meat. Now, I need a herb that can take the heat of the oil, and that is fresh rosemary. Strip the rosemary stalk like that. You start to chop it, and we're gonna fry this one straight away, because if you start to fry the rosemary leaf, all the oil is gonna get the flavor of the rosemary straight away. So all this little secret makes the difference between a plate of pasta and the best plate of pasta. Rosmarino, straight into the dish. So only now is the time where you're gonna switch on the heat underneath the sausage and all the other ingredients. You probably want to do the frying for about 10 minutes, no more than that. Now, let's talk about the cime di rapa. It's a vegetable that is very local in the Puglia region. Cime di rapa is like a broccoli. The only difference is that you probably recognize in the middle here the head of the broccoli, and these are the leaves. So really what we're doing in Italy is we eat the leaves and we don't really eat the head of the broccoli. So if you're at home and you want to replicate this recipe, what you could do, you could use the purple sprouting broccoli. We tend to pick up the top and then all these beautiful leaves right in the middle. I'm just gonna roughly chop them like that. And this goes straight into the pan. Now, there are some chefs that they boil the leaves as well. I don't actually agree to do that, because I think once you start to boil the leaves, all the flavor and the nutrition is gonna go into the water. I want the flavor and the nutrition into the pan. Oh, this is perfect. I have one last ingredient, white wine. Make sure that if it's not good for drinking, it should never be good for cooking. So that goes straight in there.
Add the fresh orecchiette to salted boiling water and cook for just 8 minutes.
Pasta is ready. So mix everything together. Okay, this is the most important time when you make this dish. Every little orecchiette, every little shell is coated with the flavor of the broccoli or the sausage, the garlic, the chili. Beautiful. Now, the last thing that I want to add on here is pecorino cheese. I can definitely have this plate of pasta every single day. Siamo pronti?
Prontissimi.
Eccolo qua. Che ne pensi?
Spettacolare.
Se è buono un bacetto, me lo devi dare però, eh?
Certamente sì.
Ok, no, I just said if it's good, I deserve at least a kiss. Ok, per te. Allora.
Mama, I think it's gonna be good like your pasta. Oh.
Buon appetito.
Buon appetito.
Very good.
Spettacolare.
Oh! Hey.
Salute. Alla bellissima Alberobello.
I've left the Trulli of Alberobello behind, and my next stop is 70 miles south in the Salento region of Puglia. This is a city I've always wanted to visit, Lecce. Famous for its Baroque style.
Now, if Puglia was a movie, Lecce would definitely be the star. Welcome to the Florence of the South.
Lecce is southern Italy's center of arts and culture, renowned for its architecture, papier-mâché statues, and folk dancing. So, who better to show me the sights than local dancer Cristina?
Cristina, we are in the middle of Lecce. I've never been in Lecce. Why people should come here?
Because Lecce is beautiful. She's a surprise for every tourist that will come here. The characteristic is a Barocco style.
Okay, which is all this architecture, I guess, behind us.
The Lecce Baroque style flourished in the 17th century. Skilled stonemasons used local limestone to create beautiful facades for churches, balconies, doors, and windows.
What's the specialty of Lecce?
So we have the coffee with almond milk and ice. Almond milk is a specialty of this area.
Nice.
Yeah.
A third of Italy's almonds come from Salento. The hot summers and mild winters provide perfect growing conditions.
Ah, grazie. Prego. So this is the famous coffee with?
Almond milk and ice, but you need
Before.
to share before to drink.
Shake it.
Yeah.
To stir it. Smooth, not too strong,
Sweet.
sweet. I like it.
Fueled by the coffee, we press on to see Lecce's most famous craft.
This is one of the most artisanal place for papier-mâché in Lecce.
Hello,
buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
This ancient craft came from the Baroque movement, and Claudio is a cartapesta master.
So the art of papier-mâché here in Lecce, it goes back to 1600. And the reason why they started this, in the old days, some of the churches, because they could not afford things like marble, and because they were very heavy, they tell them to recreate huge statue in water and paper. They are very light. Which I think is a very clever thing, because you would never believe in a million years that it's just water, paper, and a bit of paints. Look at that. Incredible.
Today, along with religious statues, there is a demand for small figurines of the region's traditions.
So one statue like this will fetch up to 70 to 80 euro, and it takes about 4 to 5 hours to make it. Ne possiamo fare una di mia?
È possibile.
See, tell them I'm going to stay
For
here
4
just
hours?
for 4 hours.
With Cristina as my guide, there is one thing I have to try before I leave. The pizzica, a local folk dance.
It's 1, 2, 1,
2.
The man is like this,
Yeah.
me like this, and we need to go in a circle.
So do I follow you in the
Yeah.
circle? All right.
The scarf is a symbol of femininity,
Okay.
so you want the scarf, but I never give you. No!
I see.
No. Not like this.
All right, let's try again.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, all right. So this is, you organized this. All right. So this is the most embarrassing thing ever. I have no idea what I'm doing.
You can try
This is a courtship dance which only ends when the red scarf is given to the suitor, who steals the dancer's hearts. I think I'll leave it to the professionals. In the summer months, this centuries-old dance is still performed on the streets here. And for me, the passion of the pizzica sums up the spirit of this vibrant city. I want to cook up a dish that embodies the soul of the Salento region. And I'm going to do it the Italian way, outside on a grill with fresh local ingredients. I'm making a super healthy, super easy dish. Sticky marmalade barbecue chicken skewers with an incredible bean salad.
So the first job we're gonna have to do is the marinade. Get yourself a little bowl here. I'm using orange marmalade. That is gonna give an amazing sticky and sweet flavor to my skewer. There I'm gonna put a little bit of chili powder, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and I'm gonna put a touch of white wine vinegar just to give a little bit of sharpness, okay? Bit of salt, and then just mix everything together.
For the skewer, I've got chicken, peppers, red onion, and courgettes.
Now let me show you how we put the skewers together.
Cut the chicken into strips and roll it up.
And the reason why I do that is because all the marinade is going to go right in the middle of the chicken and it cooks really, really fast. And then what I like to do right at the end, if you take the cavity of the onion or the pepper, wherever you want, you just put it on top and you make like a little cup like that, so you completely seal your skewer. Now, the only thing that you have to do, get the marinades and just brush it all over. This is not one of those marinades where it has to sit in the marinade for 20 minutes, half an hour. You can just apply on top of the skewer and cook it straight away because it's very sticky. You can experiment with different jams. You could use apricot jam if you want to do a pork skewer, or you can use cherry jam with a little bit of lamb. You can do pretty much whatever you want. One thing that you need to make sure is that your barbecue is really hot. And this is hot. Oh, yes. By the time that the skewers cook, let me show you what I do with my bean salad. First of all, let me show you the beans I'm using. Zucchini beans, chickpeas, cannellini bean, and then I'm using butter beans. Then I got a little bit of fresh mint. And you want this fresh because when you do dishes like this one, they're healthy, they're fresh, they're colorful. Roughly slice the mint and it goes straight in. Then I'm gonna put a little bit of salt. Keep an eye on the skewer, of course. Oh, look at that. These are absolutely perfect. When you turn them, put extra marinade on top because otherwise the top part that is cooking gets dry quite quickly. And also put a little bit of salt. Now, back to the bean salad, extra virgin olive oil. Then I got some thinly sliced red onion. I got celery. I'm also gonna add some fresh fennel. I love fennel because it gives you that beautiful aniseed flavor of freshness into any salad. Touch of white wine vinegar. And then the only thing that you have to do, get your hands in there and gently toss everything together. Now look at the color. This is super healthy, super colorful, and super tasty.
And that's it, all done. Simple, tasty, delicious. Sticky marmalade barbecue chicken skewers and beans.
What would you want more from life? Look at that. I got everything I need. Salute.
I'm now more than 600 miles from Venice. heading to the very south of Puglia. Surrounded by water, this region is defined by the sea, famous for white sandy beaches and turquoise waters which rival the Caribbean. The area of Salento is the lesser-known stretch of Puglia's coastline and is packed with surprises. My first stop is unmissable and is just outside the town of Rocca.
Now, I'm sure you're wondering what am I doing here. Well, let me tell you, this dusty track leads to a real hidden gem. Follow me.
This is the Cave of Poetry. A 100-foot sinkhole, it's one of half a dozen large rock pools dotted along this section of the Adriatic coastline.
Now, the locals, they like to keep these natural pools a secret. Well, it's not secret anymore because I just told you.
In prehistoric times, this pool was a cave in the cliffside, but years of erosion caused the roof to collapse. With its 10-meter cliffs and crystal-clear waters, it's ranked one of the 10 most beautiful natural pools in the world.
I'll tell you something, I would never imagine in a million years that a place like this would have been in the middle of the rocks. This, if you come down here, you're gonna have to try it.
And it's a great way to cool off in the punishing heat of the Puglian summer. After drying off, I'm back in the car for a 45-mile journey to the tip of Italy's hill.
This is Santa Maria di Leuca, the town between two seas, because here is where the Adriatic meets the Ionian Sea.
The town is the point where the east coast meets the west. During medieval times, it was fought over more than anywhere else on this coastline. Its basilica stands on the ruins of an ancient temple and is home to a small community of nuns and priest Father Don Gianni.
Ma d'incanto.
Stupendo. E il nome della chiesa qual è?
Beh, la chiesa è intitolata alla Madonna dei Finibus Terre.
The church is called Madonna di Finibus Terre. It means the last church at the end of the land. So where we are right here is the end of Italy.
Leuca è la derivazione dal greco leukos.
And Leuca, what it means is light, because when the Roman Empire came here, one thing that they realized that it was light everywhere. It was light into the sea, light into the stone. So they just kept that word, Leuca, as light. To me, it doesn't really look like a church. In the old days, this church was always attacked by the Saracens. So the only way they could make sure that no more attack was coming is to change the look of the church, that it would look like a villa. So from out there, it doesn't look like a church at all. And that was the way that they could disguise.
Non avere gli attacchi dei Saraceni? Sì. Bene, hanno anche preparato il tutto per un eventuale assedio.
I've just asked Don Gianni, what's that hole over there? Okay? And he was explaining that in the old days, when they had an attack and the door was closed, they used to throw hot oil to the invaders just to make sure that they would go away. Interessante. Interessante.
E soprattutto caldo.
But what kind of oil was he? Extra virgin olive oil, sunflower oil, just normal olive oil? What kind of oil?
Silenzio.
La preghiera.
And we were actually saying, nowadays it's very rare to go in a place where it's quiet, where you can only hear your voice and your soul. This is just magical.
Bello. E quello lì? Quella è la cosa più importante. Espressamente quell'altare con l'edicola per incastonarla lì. Ed è rimasta lì.
Bello. So the last time that this church got invaded, it was in 1700. And the only original thing from that invasion where they burned everything down is that paint there of the Madonna and Jesus.
It's lunchtime and I want to show my appreciation by cooking up a classic Italian dish for Don Gianni and some of the nuns. A saffron risotto with grilled chicken and local radicchio.
Look, let me be very honest with you. Making risotto is the easiest thing that you will ever cook. You just need to follow some very simple instruction. So the first thing that you need is a large saucepan, a little bit of a heat underneath. Finally, chop the onions. I'm gonna pick up the onions straight into the hot pan without adding any oil, because I want all the water and the moisture of the onion to get out of the way before I'm gonna add any oil. You can see straight away when the moisture comes out of the onion because the bottom of the pan starts to darken. So once you've done that, we're gonna add some oil. And then straight away, we need to start to toast the rice. Now, I'm using arborio rice. You can use carnaroli rice if you want.
Use 1.5 handfuls of rice per person. Add some fresh thyme.
You move the rice around the oil, so each little grain gets coated by the oil, and you gently toast it. Now is the time to add the wine. I'm using white wine. Just make sure that you evaporate all the alcohol and slowly, slowly allow the wine to get into the rice. Now, once the wine is completely been absorbed by the rice, is the time to add saffron. I use saffron strand. You could use saffron powder, it's absolutely fine. As you put the saffron strands, we can start to add the stock. Look what's happening now to the saffron that is gonna melt and is gonna change the color completely. See, the secret of making a good risotto is very simple. You add the stock little by little, like that, and then let the rice absorb the stock. When it's absorbed, do add a little bit more. See, what I'm showing you is how to make a vegetarian risotto. That's why I'm using vegetable stock. But if you have any meat lovers, you can add any cooked ham in there. You can add prawns. You can add chicken that is already been cooked. This is what is great about the risotto. The other very important thing is always make sure that you season your risotto at the end. Do remember, your vegetable stock or chicken stock, whatever we're gonna use, is gonna be quite salty. Now, let me show you what I've done here. I got a breast of chicken, which I flattened down slightly. Then you put balsamic glaze on top, you rub it in, and just griddle pan, because I'm gonna shred that right at the end and put it on top of the risotto. I can see that the rice is nearly cooked. So I'm gonna add in some beautiful radicchio. Radicchio is nothing more than a bitter Italian salad, but you could use some rocket leaves in there. Spinach will do the job. And just add it probably about 3 or 4 minutes before the risotto is completely cooked. Now, how do we make a risotto creamy? With butter and with cheese. Switch everything off, add in the butter in the middle of the risotto. And then loads of cheese. I'm using pecorino cheese. You can use Parmesan cheese, but I think pecorino is gonna work fantastic. And then the only thing you have to do, just fold the butter and the cheese into the rice and keep stirring. The more you stir, the more starch you release from the rice, and the more creamy your risotto is going to be. There you go. Right in the middle.
Let's put a little bit of chicken on top. We'll put a little thyme and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil right on top. If they're not gonna make me Saint Gino, nothing ever will. Buono?
It's very delicious.
Oh, you're very kind, thank you. Thank you. Don Gianni sa cucinare?
Non le sa.
Non lo
No.
No.
Io mangio.
Sa mangiare.
Sa solo mangiare.
You can't cook? No cooking? No? Only eating.
È più bello mangiare.
È più bello mangiare. They're very funny.
I've reached my final destination in the southern Puglia, the town of Santa Maria di Leuca, where the Adriatic Sea meets the Ionian.
Now I'm heading over there, the most southerly tip of the Adriatic. But first, I have a very important job to do.
Just below the basilica is a huge formation of rocks which leads down to the water.
People usually get asked to switch on Christmas lights. Well, not me. I switch on waterfalls. Look at that. That is awesome.
This 800-foot waterfall was built in 1939 on the orders of Mussolini. He wanted to create a dramatic end to Puglia's aqueducts, which had taken 30 years to build.
Well, I have to say, this is definitely a way to show off. And they only switch on the waterfall in very, very special occasion. Of course, Gino D'Acampo is in town. That's a special occasion.
The water cascades into the Adriatic below at a rate of 1,000 liters per second.
It's a lot of water coming down. Let me tell you something, I've done so many things in my life, but this definitely the most exciting thing ever.
Below the waterfall is the town's small harbor, where I'm hitching a lift onto the water to see where the two seas meet.
beh, sulla barca bisogna... Ciao caro. Ciao.
Tutto bene?
Bene, bene. Ok.
Ready?
Andiamo? Vai, partiamo, vai.
Giovanni has been fishing here since he was a little boy and runs boat trips around the peninsula.
Pescavate prima, che fate?
Sì, sì, sì.
E dimmi un po' la storia, dai.
Allora, no, niente, prima, quando ero piccolino, prima di andare a scuola, mio padre mi portava...
So before, when he's got a memory when he used to be a kid, before he used to go to school, his father woke him up every single day at 4 o'clock in the morning. They had to throw the nets in the water, wait for about an hour, pick up the nets again. And this is all before he actually started the school. Che tipo di pesci prendete qua?
Beh, qua un po' di tutto. Si fa la pesca al pesce spada, allo strascico,
sì?
Con le reti, con il palangaro, un po' di tutto, insomma.
Merluzzi si pigliano?
Sì, 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 sì.
I've just asked what kind of fish do they get around here, and he said a little bit of everything, but mainly cod, swordfish, tuna, octopus. This is definitely my kind of place. Ma il mare qua è sempre agitato?
Beh, sì, abbastanza. È abbastanza ventilato qua, quindi...
Ma non si capisce niente.
Sì, sì, sì.
See, I just asked Joanna, I said, is it me or is it's quite choppy here? And he was saying it's normal because this is where the two sea meets. And therefore it's always windy and the sea is always choppy.
With years of experience sailing these waters, Giovanni is taking me as close as he can to the spot that marks the very end of the Adriatic coastline.
See that rock over there? That is right the tip of the heel of the boat. So if you go either in front of you, right at the end.
This rocky headland is where the 715 miles of Italy's Adriatic coast ends. There is nothing but water between here and North Africa.
There is an argument about the locals where the Adriatic Sea ends and where the Ionian Sea begins. Now, some people say that it ends and begins over there on the rock. Other people, they say that ends and begins on the rock over there. I'm right in the middle, and because I'm here and nobody can hear me, the local can't hear me, I'm going to make the decision. Right here, where I'm standing, this is the line.
The sea completely defines life here, so I'm going to cook my favorite fish dish to mark the end of my coastal travels along the Adriatic. I'm using locally caught swordfish and serving it with a tangy gremolata sauce.
I'm going to show you how to prepare an amazing swordfish served with Italian sauté potato. Now, if you don't want to use swordfish, you can use tuna, but please try swordfish because you're really going to enjoy. Now, I'm going to serve swordfish with a wet gremolata. Gremolata usually is parsley, garlic, capers, and lemon zest. It looks like a rough pesto. Here, I got finely chopped flat leaf parsley. In there, I'm gonna put 3 cloves of garlic, and this. So, chopped garlic. Now we got capers. You need to make sure that you rinse them under cold water. Just chop away. The other thing that I like about swordfish, that is a quite lean fish and very healthy, very good for you. You can pretty much buy it everywhere and not expensive as well. Okay, so the capers are done, roughly chopped. One more ingredient is lemon zest. So the lemon is gonna give extra freshness to the gremolata. Then we're gonna season with salt and then extra virgin olive oil. And then just right at the end, I'm gonna squeeze a little bit of lemon juice. I don't know if you can see, the wind is definitely picked up now. So mix everything together. That's it, the job is done. You don't only have to use it for swordfish, even if you have just a plain grilled chicken, put a bit of gremolata on top for extra flavor. Or if you do like a potato salad, put a couple of tablespoons of gremolata in there, mix everything together. Now I'm going to show you how to make the sauté potato. First of all, I got new potato, okay, which I parboil them and nice and al dente, leave the skin on. The only thing you have to do is to cut them lengthways, just like that. You don't really have to be precise. Okay, so I got my potato cut in half. Then I got a little bit of garlic. Just slice it. In there, we're also gonna put rosemary. Rosemary, potato, marriage made in heaven. Now, hopefully the wind is not gonna blow all my ingredients away. Once you put the rosemary, olive oil. I put the heat underneath the oil, the garlic, and the rosemary. As soon as you start to see the sizzle, in goes the potatoes. Put them cut side down, so it starts to absorb the flavor of the oil and the rosemary. Oh, yes. Look at that. All sizzling around the potatoes. For the swordfish, very simple. We got a little bit of olive oil goes in there. Okay, we want the shallow fried. This goes straight into the hot oil, just like that. You can see straight away with swordfish because it changes color. Look at the difference in its color, like a clear color, and then it becomes opaque. And now is the time. So look at that. We'll take probably about 1 minute on each side, if that's also ready for my potatoes here. Oh, yes. Golden, crispy. If you're a potato lover, those are the potatoes to try.
Season the potatoes and the swordfish.
Okay. Remember, don't overcook it. Let me show you something very, very important. The line there tells me that in the middle, it is still nice and raw, like tuna should be, but it's all crispy and cooked around. Perfect. Now let me put everything together. So I got my beautiful potatoes here. Fish, or as we say in Italian, pesce spada. And then the last touch is my beautiful gremolata. We haven't finished yet. Be patient. I'm taking my time as this is the last cook. What a way to end this amazing culinary journey on the Adriatic coast. Pesce spada with sauteed potato. Cheers to you guys, and thank you for watching.
And what a coastline. But now I'm going back home. Until next time, Italia, arrivederci.